Mentor is there. It's a white, and there is no run. The ball hit quite firmly. It went sweetly from the bat of Chadwick Walton, but straight to the fielder. Score remains on 5 for no wicket. We're in the second over of the inning. So 2 changes by Antigua and Barbuda. Darren Benter and Vincent Shadrack Jr. making way for Justin Athanaze and Karima Gore. Samuel Peters in once more, and it's hit away down to backward point, third man area, 4 runs. In fact, he left the bat in the air, but between the man at that backward point, in almost a deep gully position, and the one at backward point, and flew down to the third man position for 4 runs. Not quite in control, but it went between the gap, 4 runs to Chadwick Walton. He's on 9, and that's the score for Jamaica.
A streaky shot by Chadwick Walton. But I'm not so sure I like the field setting here, because you got to slip and get a couple of guys in the ring, no third man. And if you're going to concentrate on bowling off stump line, a third man is so important.
Here is Samuel Peters again on that off stump line, steered away by Walton, and he goes on the bounce to the fielder at that backward point position. That looks to be Karima Gore, moving swiftly away to his right. The 2 outfielders, if you want to call them that, is the man at deep cover. He's at the deep cover point position and a long off. So those are the fielders outside the 30-yard circle for the first 6 overs, which is the power play. But there is no third man, as Sir Curtly Ambrose has been saying. And he's going to bowl an off-stump line based on the field. This time, Chadwick Walton is trying to whip the ball away down to the square leg region, which is unprotected, but not being able to get enough bat onto it. Maybe did not get bat onto it. Perhaps ball hitting the thigh pad and going down to the short fine leg position for the fielder to pick up. That looks to be, is it Owen Graham in that position? That's Justin Athanaze. That's why my initial impression that it was him. So he's at the short fine leg position. And here is Samuel Peters on his way. And this is played away for 4. Just casually helping the ball away down to the fine leg position to the left of Justin Athanaze inside the 30-yard circle. So that was a bad delivery from Samuel Peters. It was heading down the leg side and just helped away, just getting on top of it and allowing the pace of the bowler to carry the ball away from Justin Athanaze and down to the fine leg position for 4 runs. So we have had 13 runs being scored by Jamaica after 2 overs. So they're going at 6.5 per over, and that's a decent start. All 13 runs coming from the bat of Chadwick Walton.
It certainly was a poor delivery. And it was short on leg stump, and with the fine leg in the circle, it's always going to be runs.
Yes, and the Antiguan and Barbuda Master Blasters can ill afford to concede runs, especially early in the proceedings here, because the batting has been inconsistent. It has been below par. Certainly not as perhaps as good as it was in last day's tournament, especially in the final when they beat Jamaica in the decider. Here is the ball steered away and beats the fielder and has gone away for 4 runs. So beating 2 fielders, in fact. The initial dive came from the man at that backward point short third man area, and there was a fielder at backward point as well. So he was almost a short third man position. There was a backward point and a short third man, and both had dives, but they were unavailing, and the ball went down to third man for 4. So Taylor is off the mark. He's 4. It's 17 for no wicket.
It is not good field placement, Jack. You cannot be bowled into a 6-3 predominantly offside field without a third man.
And they've paid the price already. And this is edged and caught, brilliantly caught by the wicket keeper. Devon Thomas falling away to his left and holding the ball with both gloves. And so that's the end of Stephen Taylor. He has been caught by wicket-keeper Devon Thomas off the bowling of Orlando Peters. He has departed for 4. And Jamaica in the third over are 17 for 1.
Yes, it was a good delivery on the part of Orlando Peters. Good catching end by Devon Thomas. And Taylor, he's departed, trying to work the ball to the third man as well, because he realized that there's no slip in. There's a vacant third man area. He was trying to work it down third man, succeeding getting an edge, and easy catching end to Devon Thomas. Well bowled. But I have to reiterate, that is a 6-3 field, 6 men on the offside. And so that means the captain is asking the bowler to bowl a predominantly offside field. You have to have a third man. I would bring that long off into the circle, leave the man in the backward point boundary, and put a third man. That to me would be a better field as opposed to the one they have now.
Yes, the deep cover perhaps is not needed at such an early stage. If you're going to bowl straight, invariably the ball would not go to the deep cover position. It would, if you're going to hit over the top, you're going to try and hit over the long off position, and so the long off probably in place. Well, a message went out. Secretary Ambrose sent the message out, so a third man is in place. And the new batsman is Trevor Griffith, another left-hander. He's defending and getting off the mark right away, pushing it up into the mid-off region. The extra cover, Kadeem Phillip, not the most fleet-footed of movers. And the batsmen were through for a single. So Trevor Griffith is off the mark. He's on 1. And Jamaica put into bat by Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters. They're 18 for 1 halfway through the third over of the innings.
That's another thing that the captain needs to understand. A new batsman taking strike, Trevor Griffith, he's not in the best of form, and you allow him an easy single. They should have got a little closer to prevent him from getting an easy single, to get Chadwick Walton on strike, who is batting well. Yes,
and Chadwick Walton deciding to open the batting in this match for the first time in the tournament. And Orlando Peters is preparing to run away from us. He starts and he stops as an adjustment is being made to the field. So there's a third man in place for him and for Chadwick Walton, who is back on strike. He's on 13. Can you remember two Peters opening the bowling for Antigua, Barbuda? That's what's happening tonight. Orlando Peters and Samuel Peters opening the bowling for Antigua and Barbuda.
Are they related,
Samantha Frank, our scorer, will tell us in a while. They're not, she says. Here is Orlando Peters, and the ball is steered away by Chadwick Walton down to the backward point position. And Karima Gore is there to do the fielding, and there is no addition to the score. So Orlando Peters operating from the commentary box and has picked up a wicket. 1.4 overs, 1 for 10, removing Stephen Taylor, who edged low to Devon Thomas for 4 when the score was on 17. So here is Peters on his way, Orlando Peters, and this is driven into the offside. A bit of a misfeeling there by Kadeem Phillip, and they go for a single. The ball went straight to him. It shows a lot of disgust, but really he should have fielded that one quite comfortably. The ball deflected from his hand and went away to his right, and the batsman spotted the opportunity to cross. 19 for 1, and Walton is now on to 14. Trevor Griffith comes in to strike. He's on 1. So Jamaica, as we said, making 2 changes. Christopher Lamont, the left-arm spinner, and Nicholson Gordon making way. Here is Peters, and it's steered into the gully, into the backward point region for Kerry Mentor to do the fielding, and there is no run. And Paul Harrison and Jamie Merchant coming in to the side, both playing for the first time in this year's competition. So we've had 3 overs gone. 19 for 1 is the Jamaica total put into bat by the opposition. Chadwick Walton has 14 and Trevor Griffith on 1. So the full Jamaican lineup is Stephen Taylor, Orain Williams, Trevor Griffith, Andre McCarthy, Chadwick Walton, captain, Fabian Allen, O'Shane Walters, Pete Salmon, Odin Smith, Paul Harrison, and Jamie Merchant. They've been coached by Andrew Richardson, the former Jamaican fast bowler. And Kerry Scott is the manager. And the coach for the Antiguan team is Daryl Musai Thomas, the former Antiguan fast bowler. And he's been assisted by Abdi Hughes. So Samuel Peters is on his way, starting his second over, and Chadwick Walton is defending. Solid defensive shot. The ball goes on the bounce to the bowler following through. And the score is kept on 19 for 1 at the start of the 4th. So Antigua and Barbuda opting to chase tonight. The decision, secretly, of not batting. They won 2 tosses, I think, and decided to bat. But now they've decided to put the opposition in. We'll hear Curtly Ambrose's comment after this ball from Samuel Peters, who strides in from the Sandy Roberts end. And Walton is driving beautifully into the offside. It goes square, but there's a sweeper on the cover boundary. And his return comes low down to Devon Thomas. Is that Tyrone Williams Jr. who's out there? It looks to be the man, yes, at sweeping at cover. and one more to the score. It's now 20 for 1, and we have 2 deliveries gone in the fourth over of the innings. 15 to Chadwick Walton, and Trevor Griffith on 1 comes in to strike.
Yes, on both occasions when they batted first, they scored 170 and lost, and then they batted again, scored, I think it was 137 and lost again. So they decided to change their fortunes and decided to chase. Simple means that they don't trust the bowlers to defend those runs. So they're going to at least bowl first and bat second.
Or is it once bitten, twice shy? Or twice bitten, third time shy? I don't know. But they've decided to chase, which perhaps it's a good move because they've lost twice batting first. Outside the off stump, and it's cut away down to the backward point, third man area, 4 runs. Now, that was a very loose delivery. It was short and wide, and Trevon Griffith just got on top of it and cut it away. Well wide of the third man fielder. Anthony is having no chance away to his left and down to the boundary for 4. His first boundary, and Jamaica 24 for 1 in the fourth.
Certainly was a poor delivery on the part of Peters. Short and wide, asked to be hit, and of course Trevon Griffith obliged well.
Samuel Peters will look to get it right. He comes in, much better delivery in line with the stumps. They push the ball, and here's a chance for a run out. And Kerry Mentor almost colliding with the stumps. Has he injured himself? Perhaps he has. But he ran into the stumps in trying to effect the run out, and he's on his back now. Let's hope that all is well. There is Trevon Griffith down as well. There was a collision. And let's hope that they'll be able to quickly get back onto their feet. And the injury, whatever injury that they may have sustained, is just a slight one. And they'll be able to get back quickly, and the game will be able to proceed. But certainly the ball was played on the offside of the pitch, and the batsman decided right away to go for the single. And there was Kerry Mentor running in. And having only one stump to look at, he tried to get hold of the ball. And by the time he got in contact with the ball, he was almost on the stumps and could not avoid them. And he went down. And there is Trevon Griffith down as well. And both are being assisted. Mentor is back up. And it seems as if the ambulance has been brought into action here, I think, for Griffith, who is down. He's on his back, and the medics are running onto the field now to provide some assistance for him. It seems as if he has just managed to get up. Well, he's down, but he's now leaning up. So he's in a sitting position now. He was lying down, but he's now in a sitting position. And let's hope that the injury, how he's feeling now, is not a serious injury sustained by Trevon Griffith in this, the fourth over of the innings.
Yes, hope that he's okay. He's now on his feet, surrounded by coaching staff, umpires and players. The medical staff as well is there. And let's hope that he's okay. He's walking around rather slowly.
I mean, he's asked for his helmet, so he's prepared to continue the battle.
Yes,
so
seems to be okay.
His armor, he's looking to make sure his armor is there for the battle. Yeah, so that's good. That's good.
Just a little shaken up, I guess, clashing with Kerry Mentor, and they were both in full flight.
Yes, because Mentor was coming in, and he was looking at the ball as well. So it was a case of trying to get hold of the ball. And by the time he realized he was very, very close to the stumps, he tried to avoid the stumps, and there was Griffith coming down at the same time. And so that occasioned a collision. But all is well that ends well, they say. And so we will have a resumption in play with Jamaica on 25 for 1 in the fourth over. 4 balls have been delivered. And Chadwick Walton has 15, and Griffith is on 6, having scampered a single after hitting a 4 early on in the over. The umpires for this match, Alvin James Knight. He's at the square leg position. The one who is at the presiding end at the moment is Ivor Lewis. As Samuel Peters will look to come in again from the far end. He's bowling right arm over the wicket from the Andy Roberts end. He's into bowl to the Jamaican captain, and Chadwick Walton is driving down the ground beautifully. The mid-off is running around, but only to retrieve, because that was expertly timed by Chadwick Walton, just jerking the bottom hand. And it was so well timed that there was a mid-on in place inside the 30-yard circle. He had absolutely no chance, and the man at long off could not get around in time. 4 exquisite runs to Chadwick Walton. He's on to 19, and Jamaica 29 for 1 in the fourth.
That is Chadwick Walton at his best. He's such a superb timer of the cricket ball with hardly any effort at all.
Peters into bowl him once more, and he's cutting at this ball and gets it down to the point position, backward point position. Orlando Peters is there to take the ball just about head height on the bounce. So we have had 4 overs completed, and Jamaica going fractionally above 7 per over. 29 for 1 after 4, 19 to Chadwick Walton, and 6 to Trevon Griffith.
It's a good, nice, steady start by Jamaica. It's a game that, well, we know they'll be a winner for sure, and I'm quite sure that Chadwick Walton, the captain, and the rest of the Jamaica team would want to post a huge total, a total that they believe they can defend to try to get themselves into the finals, because it's do-or-die situation for them, and they have the opportunity to get first strike, so I'm quite sure a huge total will be on their mind.
And they have the artillery to really go about getting those runs on the board in very, very quick fashion. Chadwick Walton opening the batting. We know of his exploits. He's a very dangerous batsman, having played for the West Indies at the T20 level. He played 2 test matches as well for the West Indies. Did not distinguish himself. I don't think he got into double figures in those test matches when you combine his runs. But he has been a very good player at the T20 level, and also for Jamaica. Trevon Griffith is whipping the ball into the onside. He gets a run because Kerry Mentor has to move away to his left in the vicinity of mid-wicket, and they cross for 130 for 1 now at the start of the 5th over of the innings. And Chadwick Walton, his highest score in T20 cricket, 99, comes back into strike. Has scored over 1,800 runs in T20 cricket. Holds the bat aloft. And we have a change at this end. Owen Graham is the man into the attack. So Orlando Peters, who started at the commentary box end, this Curtly Ambrose end, has made way to Owen Graham. The other Peters, Samuel Peters, has bowled 2 overs, none for 18. So he has been expensive, 9 per over. And I don't think we're going to see him in the next over. Maybe later on, but I think he will be pulled out of the attack based on what has happened so far. He has really been up and down in terms of his line and his length. This ball is driven into the offside, and there is Kadeem Phillip just falling away, making sure that there was no reoccurrence of the feeling indiscretion he had early on. So he put all his body behind that to prevent the batsman from going through for a single. He remains on 30 for 1. Here is the medium pace of Owen Graham, and it's driven by Chadwick Walton down to the long on position, and they'll get an easy single. Is that Kofi James on the boundary, coming off the boundary at long on. It's now 31 for 1 halfway through the 5th over of the innings, and Chadwick Walton is now 20. Griffith on 7 comes into strike.
I'm quite happy to see Captain Chadwick Walton top of the order. I think he's better suited for his team.
Griffith is man on strike and hits this high in the air. There's a fielder running back, and the ball will drop and then go over the boundary. So 1 bounce for 4. He hit that one high in the air, but there was no one outside the 30-yard circle on the leg side. And so he knew even if he had mistimed it, there was no one running around to take the catch. And so it was an unavailing chase by the 2 fielders. The ball dropped, and then it bounced over the rope. 4 more runs to Griffith. He's on to 11. And Jamaica pushing on here. They're 35 for 1. 2 balls left in the 5th.
And that's exactly what the team needs to do. Try to make use of the first power play.
Mentor has gone back, a straight deep mid-wicket position, and the ball is clipped away into the short mid-wicket area. And they come back for the 2nd run. Yes, they do. They feel at mid-on having to come around to do the work, because Mentor had moved out of that orthodox mid-wicket position towards a deep position in the straight mid-wicket area on the boundary. And the Jamaicans capitalize on that, just pushing the ball and going for 2. Owen Graham is in, and it's pushed again, this time into the offside, and they go quickly away for the single. The running has been good between these two. So we have had 5 overs completed, and Jamaica put into bat by Antigua and Barbuda, the Master Blasters, in this deciding match here. Virtually a semi-final affair. The winners will go on to play Guyana in Saturday's final. They're 38 for 1, 20 to Chadwick Walton, and 14 to Trevor Griffith. More from Sir Curtly Ambrose, and then the voice of Seth Burton.
Very, very decent start by Jamaica. They really motoring around nicely. They keep the boundaries are coming ever so often, but the running between the wicket has been very, very good. They're putting the Antiguan fielders under immense pressure, and I reckon that the fielders on just inside the circle needs to come in a little bit tighter to prevent those singles. Force the batsmen to go over the top if they will, because the too many easy singles been given away where the guys are stuck under the 30-yard circle. Good evening, Seth Burton.
Good evening, Sir Curtly.
And how are you today?
I'm feeling warm. I'm feeling warmer than the last time.
You're feeling warmer?
Yes, because I have my coat on.
Are you anticipating a cold, air-conditioned room?
No, I'm anticipating a better performance from Antigua Barbuda.
Oh, well, there you go.
But they're in red. I'm in my blue and gold. You're in blue and white like me almost, only that I have the gold with the blue and the white. Here is Justin Atenes. Comes in, Trevor Griffith comes forward and plays the ball to Captain Mentor, who fields at an extra cover position, and he looks around. Currently, it has been a much better start for the Jamaicans. We have been saying it all along that Chadwick Walton needed to come at the top of the order, and he has looked so much better, and he has really inspired the team. Here is Griffith getting a good one. That one was pretty close to the off stump. He was trying to cut, though. I am not sure that the ball was short enough for that cut shot. Eventually, the ball went past him and into the gloves of Devon Thomas. Atenes is there. Once again, from around the wicket to the left-hander, tucks it off the pads into the mid-wicket region. Tyrone Pacer Williams Jr. comes off the boundary and fields. Send on the arms the return to Atenes. So Griffith moves to 15 from 11 balls. Walton is on 20, and the score moves up to 39 for 1 here in over number 6. I said Tyrone Pacer Williams Jr. He's really Tyrone Williams Jr., but because his father is Pacer, we somehow label him as Pacer. Here is this one being tucked around by Chadwick Walton. Kadeem Philip fields from the short backward of square position, and there is no run. Here is Atenes, also a man with that sort of funny action. Unconventional, pulls at that. The ball struck him high on the type, and he was trying to hammer it down to backward of square. He missed it completely, and Devon Thomas coming from behind the stump to field. So here is Justin Atenes once again in his first over. Pulled 4 runs. Lovely shot. That one was short, and he got the treatment it deserved. Down to backward of square with the flash of the bat. Walton striking his 5th 4 as he races on to 24 from 19 deliveries at the end of over number 6. Jamaica, who were inserted by Antigua and Barbuda in this crucial last preliminary game of the Independence Tri-Nation Series. They are 43 for 1, off to a very good start, over 7 runs per over at this stage. So Antigua Barbuda, they would really have to lift themselves up and really try to do something special here. Curtly, so Curtly is not with us because of some technical adjustments we're making here, but it's Owen Graham who is going to continue the attack from this Sir Curtly Ambrose end. His first over conceded 9 runs, yet they are sticking with him. Graham, I'm seeing him bowling medium pace. Even though he's a medium pacer, he can bowl faster than what I've seen in the first over. I believe perhaps he's trying the varieties that we know he's capable of. Right armer comes in over the wicket to Griffith. Griffith drives, a flowing drive, but it's out towards Kofi James, who comes off the long off boundary, sends the return in, no run. Kofi James also one of those players with those family legacies, the son of Hardy James. And Hardy James has been perhaps the man who has played cricket the longest in Antigua. He's still playing, even though Pacer Williams and these guys have stopped, and Sir Kirtley has stopped at his tender young age. Hardy James, I reckon up to last season, was still playing cricket at the age of close to 70. So quite a legacy for young Kofi, who is feeling on at long on. Here is Graham driving on this occasion, Walton, but out towards the field on the cover boundary. Looks like Henry comes around and cleans up well, sends the return in, a single, in fact, to Walton. Moves to 25. I heard a conversation between yourself and Jack, Sir Kirtley, about Walton. He looks good at the regional level, but he's one of those players who is yet to show consistency at the international level. This time, here is a flowing drive, beats Kofi James into the boundary for 4. He had a long run of about 30 meters from long off out towards the wide long off position, beating the diving Kofi James, who really tried his best. A good shot from Trevor Griffith. He moves to 20 of 13 balls, his third 4, and the Jamaica total just one shy of the 50 mark. They're 49 for 1 here in over number 7. So let's see what Graham does. None for 15 for 1.3 overs. He comes in over the wicket, down the leg side. A poor delivery. Not really living up to what is expected, Graham. I think he's trying to contain his pace somewhat. He's capable of more pace. He's capable of more accuracy and variety, but he's trying the variety. This time, Griffith comes forward and plays the ball into the onside. Graham has to feel to his own bowling, going to the mid-wicket position, the short mid-wicket position. Only a single for the Jamaicans. And Griffith moves up to 21 and brings Chadwick Walton to face Owen Graham. So the power play is over. So the Antiguans have 3 men on the onside on the boundary and 2 on the offside on the boundary. Walton comes forward and works the ball into the mid-wicket region for Tyrone Williams Jr. to field, and he moves up to 26. So we're seeing pretty much a good start by the Jamaicans. Jamaicans would be eyeing a score, I believe, of about 180 to try and put it beyond the reach of Antigua Barbuda. They started with Walton and Taylor, but Taylor has since departed. Here is Griffith driving to the left of Kadeem Phillip out towards Kofi James, who comes around at long off, fields a single to end the over and to retain the strike. Griffith moves to 22. Walton is on 26. The Jamaica 50 would have already been posted there. 53 for 1, and Kirtley Ambrose now gets a chance to come back to give a few words. Pretty much a good start by Jamaica, going at over 7.5 runs per over.
Certainly a good start. And let me just apologize to all our many listeners for being absent for the last 3 minutes or so. Just trying to sort out the mic. You know, my good friend Eustace Samuels here tend to give me a hard time from time to time, but I will sort him out at the end of the game. Oh, well, there you go. But, you know, yes, I'll try and do this commentary thing. I suppose to give comments. Let me see how I shape up here. Justin Athenaeus into Griffith. Easily punched through mid-wicket. Fielder from the long on boundary comes in. 2 easy runs in the end. Well played by Griffith.
Yes, Sir Kirtley.
And Jamaica continue to score and score quite easily and quickly, as Athenaeus walking back very slowly to his mark. Just a hop and a skip, and then he delivers. No great follow through. Easily struck down to long on. Easy single once more, and the runs continue to flow.
So I have made history. I've sat beside you doing your debut in ball-by-ball commentary. Jack is laughing, but I really enjoy. Yeah, I would cherish this moment.
I think Jack is very impressed.
He is. He would keep silent. He would say that off air. But I am impressed. So we have the cricket the cricketer commentator, not the cricketer comments man or expert comments person. Pretty much an interesting situation here at the St. Richards Cricket Ground. So it's 56 for 1, and Walton is facing Atenes. This time he comes forward, plays the ball into the offside for Kadeem Phillip to field, and there is no run. It would be interesting to see how long they would continue with Graham from this end. They have opted for Atenes there, down the leg side. Once again, accuracy is not in the Antigua Barbuda bowlers' favor. I think apart from Orlando Peters, who really stuck to the gun, we have not seen that consistency from the bowlers. This time it's driven, Kadeem Phillip diving forward, but the ball was played under bounce. I got the impression it did strike the ground from the flowing bat of Chadwick Walton. No run, no harm done. So he's bowling without a slip. He has a long off and long on, mid-wicket, backward of square, all on the boundary, on the onside. This time he punches this one out to the fielder at long on. Looks like Kofi James, a single. So Kofi James has been marched from one end of the ground at long off or long on here in front of us to the other end of the ground. What, he must be a magical man or something.
I just can't understand it. It's a long distance to travel, and if you're talking about overweight.
Precisely. But here is Justin Atenes, to Travon Griffith. Griffith plays this one in the air, but no one is there. Uppishly rather, inside the circle, though. It's Tyrone Pacer Williams who comes off the mid-wicket boundary and fields, and score moves up by 1 up to 59 for 1, and Griffith moves to 25, getting closer to the score of his captain Chadwick Walton, who is on 27 after 8 overs. Jamaica being inserted by Antigua Barbuda, 59 for 1. Curtly, your thoughts?
Very, very good going so far. It's so important to get a partnership going. This partnership between Walton and Griffith at the moment is 42 from 34 deliveries. So they've laid the foundation, and I'm quite sure that they would want to carry on for as long as possible, but as many of these 20 overs as possible to get them into a good, respectable total.
Yes, we have seen now that change has been made by the Antigua Barbuda team. They have brought on Kareem Agor, a youngster. I don't know if you have seen much of him. Nice little whippy action. Very athletic. He's short. He's the son of Ian Lumbus Gore, one of these 50-plus players who continue to play cricket. In fact, he plays for the Liberta Black Hawks. Plays beside his father. I've been very impressed with Kareem Agor over the years. He used to bowl medium pace, but now he has gone to spin the ball. This time a good one, played back up the track, not in full control. Griffith, he was opting to drive on that occasion, and that one may have taken the bottom of the bat. So Kareem, a very confident youngster, bats well, bowls well. Let's see what he does for the Antigua Barbuda team. He comes into Griffith. Griffith plays this one out to Orlando Peters, who comes off the long on boundary. He fields and only a single. So there's a lot of variety in the Antigua Barbuda fielding team in terms of bowling. They have already had, 4 bowlers. Well, this is in fact the 5th bowler being used. And if you look out there, they still have the captain. Mento can do his thing. Kofi James can bowl as well. In fact, all the players that I'm seeing out there are pretty decent bowlers. Kadeem Phillip, this time Walden plays this one, just content to roll the wrist over, and plays this one into the mid-wicket region. Owen Graham comes to his left, and also Kofi James, who has been really marshalling from one end to the other. Both players coming together, the score moving up to 61. Here is Griffith, charging Gore, but good thinking on the part of the youngster. He held it back a bit and angled it to the pad. Griffith was a bit cramped, played it uppishly, but there is actually no one inside the circle or close on the onside, and that really presents an easy option for the batting team. Let's see what Gore does as he comes into Walton. Walton drives at that one, an appeal, a stifled appeal from the bowler and the wicketkeeper. The ball going down the leg side, but good bowling on the part of Gore.
Certainly is. Chadwick Walton and Trevor Griffith playing very well, and so far he has kept them quiet.
Here is Kareem Agor to Walton. He gets one on target, digs it out and plays it out to Kofi James, who comes off the long on boundary to the edge of the circle, coming from long on to mid on. Picks up the ball And that completes over number 9. Walton is on 29, and Griffith is really just inching behind him on 28. He's 28 from 21 balls. Walton's 29 from 27 balls. Jamaica motoring on 63 for 1 after 9 overs. They're going at 7 runs per over.
Still getting along nice and steady. You know, they don't need to take any chances. We're still not at the halfway markers yet, and they don't want to take any chances. The last thing they would want at this point is to lose a wicket or 2, which is where's a nice partnership building.
Here is Atenez, comes in, does not bowl. Justin Atenez would have played for the Leewards over the years, would have put in some decent performances with the ball and also with the bat at critical times. Here is Walton to him, goes back and then forward, plays it out to Kofi James, comes off the boundary once again, fields from the long on position, and the single takes Chadwick Walton up to 30. We were speaking about his exploits. He's definitely at a top level batsman, but few tests, he got a couple of tests, a couple of ODIs, did not do as well as expected. This time we see a scoop, not quite in the Dilshan style, but he went back. That's Chevron Griffith. They're coming back now for the 3rd run, is it? And they have gotten the 3rd run, but the scoop was not, well, it was effective because it got 3 runs. It was not as convincing. In fact, the 50 partnership comes up, or 42 balls between Walton and Griffith, are pretty much a decent partnership for the Jamaicans.
It certainly is. And what they need to do now, both Walton and Griffith, is to build on this partnership. Because at the moment, Antigua and Barbuda and Master Blasters are under some pressure. They need to pick up a couple of wickets.
And they don't seem to have that penetration in the attack. Here is Walton, plays it back to Atenez. He fields and there is no run. But let's look at the field. 1, 2, 3, 4 men on the boundary. There are now 4 inside the circle. Here is Walton hitting this one over long off for 6. Easy shot. He just stepped forward and really played it with the flow of the top hand of the bat, and he made that look so easy. He moves up to 36. Jamaica 73 for 1.
It was a superb shot, effortless as well. He just stepped into it, hardly any back lift, and hit it over wide long off for 6. As cool as you like. That's Chadwick Walton at his best.
That's his bread and butter shot. Flourishes with that shot all the time. And perhaps Justin Atenez might be rethinking his strategy here. He comes in. Walton goes back, cramped a bit, plays it out to long on, gets a single. And Justin Atenez would feel a bit better on this occasion. 74 for 1. And we have 1 ball to go before we reach the halfway stage. This is looking a challenge already for the Antiguans. As Atenez, here is the scoop. Once again being played to full effect. Will it beat Kadim Phillip? But no, Orlando Peters comes around, the more slender baby-like figure of Orlando Baby Peters. Cutting it off from the boundary, only 2 runs, and those 2 runs puts Trevor Griffith on 33. Walton remains on 37. Jamaica winning the toss and bat, and being inserted here by Antigua Barbuda, 76 for 1. After comments from Sir Kirtley, Jack Matthew will pick up the ball-by-ball commentary.
Jamaicans are really going well. They are under no pressure whatsoever, scoring quite easily, quite frequently. The boundaries are coming. The running between the wicket has been exceptional, and the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters at this point really need to get a wicket to break this partnership and hopefully get into the middle to stem the runs flow. At the moment, it's all Jamaica.
So they're going at 7.6 knot per over. And the dangerous Chadwick Walton, he's on 37. He's the man on strike now. He's hitting this one over the top. It has gone away for 6. And that was a flat 6. A ball up to him from Karima Gore. And he just played through the line and hit it over the wide long on position for 6 runs. A very good shot. He races into the 40s. He's on to 43 from 32 deliveries. And Jamaica now 82 for 1. And he's looking very, very ominous. Karima Gore, left arm spinner, bowling around the wicket. And hit in the air. He's going to be caught. Yes, he is. So Chadwick Walton goes caught by the fielder on the cover boundary of the bowling of Karima Gore. And Chadwick Walton again looking for another big hit. Not getting hold of it on this occasion. And the ball went down to Nino Henry, who dived forward and clutched the ball with both hands. And that's a big breakthrough for the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters. Chadwick Walton caught Nino Henry on the cover boundary of the bowling of Karima Gore. He has departed for 43. And Jamaica 82 for 7 in the 11th over of the innings. And I say a good evening to Aldwin Jarmers Walsh, who has just come in. And it's a significant breakthrough here for the Antiguans.
Good evening to the listening public. It is a significant breakthrough. Just when we thought it was looking ominous and Chadwick Walton was showing a class above the rest, he went for an injudicious stroke, hitting it down to the cover boundary, totally unnecessary, and he was caught brilliantly.
Yes, it was a brilliant catch by Nino Henry. He looked at it, he judged it well. The ball was dying on him, but he was in control. You got the sense that it was never going to be dropped by him because he had judged it well. And he held on to it low, diving forward to get rid of Chadwick Walton. So he has departed for 43. And the score is 82 for 2. The new batsman is Andrew McCarthy, but he won't face because the batsman crossed while the ball was in the air. Chance for a run out, and the ball misses the stumps at the keeper's end. Well, he held on to the ball. I thought he had thrown it, Kerry Mentor, but he held on to it because Andrew McCarthy would have beaten the throw. So the Antiguan captain deciding to hold on to the ball. It's now 83 for 2, halfway through the 11th over of the innings. The flight of the ball, sometimes you lose it. Aldwin Jarmer Walsh can really attest to that. Looking at the play from the commentary box position, the ball is driven into the onside. The bowler Karima Gore follows through and does the feeling away to his right. We're looking from behind a thick glass, so sometimes you lose the ball in flight. This ball is driven, and it's fielded by the bowler. So a good comeback after being hit for flat six by Chadwick Walton. Karima Gore. Run rate now 7.66 for Jamaica, 83 for 2. And this ball is driven by the right-handed Andrew McCarthy down to the long-on fielder in Kofi James. He sends a low return in to the bowler. After 11 overs, Jamaica put into bat by the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters in this deciding match here at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. The winners will go on to play Guyana in Saturday night's final. They're 84 for 2. Trevon Griffith on 34 and Andrew McCarthy on 1.
Karima Gore is doing what the captain asked him. He has been pretty steady. I think that he kept his cool even after was clobbered over long on for 6, and he has been able to maintain a superb line, keeping the batsman in check.
And it will be the bowling of Justin Athanaze from the far end. Justin Athanaze having bowled 3 overs, none for 24. 3 overs, none for 24. And Justin Athanaze, he will bowl his last over, the off-spinner, tall man. And will come in from the Sir Andy Roberts end to bowl to the right-handed Andrew McCarthy, who hasn't had a good run with the bat in this tournament, but he's quite an accomplished batsman for Jamaica. Ball is turned away down to the short fine leg position. Orlando Peters comes in to do the work, and there is no run. We were somewhat misguided by the stats from Quick Info regarding the stats on Orlando Peters. We'll explain. This ball is driven down to the bowler, and not sure if it was a chance. It was hit firmly by Andrew McCarthy, and there was Justin Athanaze just pulling hand away. It was a stinging effect on his hand, and we see Kerry Mentor going across to him, and maybe just having a word with him there, but he's bending over, and seems to be all right, and he will continue the attack. 84 for 2 in the 12th over of the innings. Justin Athanaze bowling off spin over the wicket, and the batsman is driving, edging, and it goes behind the wicket keeper, and will go away for 4 runs, I think. Yes, 4 runs. The signal comes from umpire Ivor Lewis. He was driving at that delivery, took the edge, and went past the wicketkeeper to the right of wicketkeeper Devon Thomas, and down to the boundary for 4.
quite fortuitous. He aimed at the cover, extra cover region, and it peeled off the edge. No slip in place, and went all the way down to the third man boundary for 4.
88 for 2 now, halfway through the 12th over. Griffith on 34 with that boundary. Griffith on 34, 5 to McCarthy with that boundary. He goes on to 5 now, yes. Electronic scoreboard moving in a flash, just a split second. So he's on 5, or is he on 6? He's on 6. I was the one moving too fast. So he's on 6. Griffith is on 34. 89 for 2. Athene is deciding to go around the wicket to the left-hand. The ball is steered away down to Orlando Peters at third man, and they scamper the run. Good running between the two. The ball not traveling all that quickly. And so Peters had to go and meet the ball, and the batsman scampered through. So back to Peters and the stats. The Cricket Info stats did not take into account the tournament that was played here last year. Tournament won by Antigua and Barbuda. Here's a ball driven at, and it looked to have beaten the baton into the pad. Yes, in fact, it missed the pad and perhaps hit Devon Thomas, the wicket keeper, on a fleshy path. So he's limping as he goes down to the other end. With the over completed, we have had 12, and they're 90 for 2. Jamaica put into bat. Griffith has 35, and Andrew McCarthy is on 6. So the stats do not reflect the fact that Orlando Peters scored 100 against the Windwards in this tournament last year, and he had an unbeaten 60-odd in the final against Jamaica as well. The stats from Cricket Info showing that his high score 67 in T20 cricket. So maybe the organizers will have to forward those stats to Cricket Info for them to be published and certainly be put out there as stats in T20 cricket, if it's going to be recognized.
Most certainly, yes. Most certainly. It will do well for his profiling, so we are admonishing the authorities to have that corrected.
And we're going to have Kareem Agor continue. He had a wicket in his last over. He has bowled 2 overs, 1 for 12. He's a short man, bowling left arm around the wicket to the left-handed Griffith, and Griffith is defending. The ball hitting the interface of the bat, going on one side of the pitch for the bowler to follow through and pick up. 90 for 2 is the Jamaican score, as this ball is down the leg side and flicked away. Very, very fine. Kadeem Phillip is giving chase. He pulls it back a meter or so inside the boundary, almost behind the wicket keeper. The ball was played very fine. In fact, wide, so there was no touch. There was no touch. It was very, very close to the pad of the batsman, Javon Griffith. But there was the signal of wide coming from umpire Alvin James Knight. This ball is driven at outside line of the off-stump. Griffith driving and missing a full-length delivery from the left-arm spinner, taken by wicket-keeper Devon Thomas. 93 for 2. 2 balls gone in the 13th over. And here's he driving to the left of the diving bowler, Kareem Agor, down to long on for Orlando Peters to come around and to come in to do the fielding. 94 for 2, halfway through the 13th over of the innings. 36 to Griffith and 6 to Andre McCarthy. Batsman out, Stephen Taylor. He was caught, wicket-keeper Devon Thomas. A good catch, low away to his left of the bowling of Orlando Peters for 4. It was 17 for 1. And here is a ball which is driven into the onside. Good work, good fielding by Gore, moving quickly away to his right. And Andrew McCarthy thought it would have beaten him, but he did not, and he had to go back into his crease. He remains on 6. Here is a ball outside the off stump, and he's cutting at it, almost playing with the bat away from the body on that occasion. And it went by into the gloves of the wicket keeper. So Kareem Agor is having a good third over here. 1 ball left, and the ball is driven, and a dot ball again. So he completes a very, very good third over, Kareem Agor. He has now bowled 5 overs, 1 for 16. 5 overs, 1 for 16. 3 overs, 3 overs, 1 for 16, Kareem Agor. And Athenaeus has completed his quota. He's bowled 4 overs, no maidens, none for 30. 94 for 2 after 13 overs. Griffith has 36 and McCarthy 6.
Since the fall of Chadwick Walton's wicket, the Antiguans have been able to stem the flow of runs a bit, It has given them a little impetus in the field. They're moving a little bit more business-like, trying to get the overs in, and they're feeling a lot tighter. So the runs have dried up just a little to give them something to write home about.
Yes, and Antigua and Barbuda coming back because at one stage with Chadwick Walton in that sort of mood, it looked as if they would have chased a very, very big total. But it may not be so big after all. Kadeem Phillip is into the attack. His first ball is a dot ball played back to the bowler by the left-handed Griffith. Settles over his bat. He's unbeaten on 36. Kadeem Phillip is in to bowl him, and he gets another ball, which is a dot ball. He plays it along the ground, back to the bowler. So we've had a string of dot balls in the last over or so. Here is Kadeem Phillip. This is swung high in the air. The ball is going down to the fielder, but it drops well short, and they go through for a single. Almost a shot of desperation. They was looking to heave it, probably for boundary, and not quite getting hold of it. Griffith gets his 37th run halfway through the 14th over. It's 95 now for 2. Jamaica put into bat. A game they must win. The winners will go on to play Guyana in Saturday night's final. The crowd is growing here at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. Right-handed Andrew McCarthy comes in to strike. Kadeem Phillip elects to go around the wicket with his left arm spin, and he will come in. Devon Thomas just asking the fielder at third man within the 30-yard circle to go a few paces away to his right. He has done so, and here is McCarthy getting a single as he comes forward and just pushes the ball away towards the vacant short cover position. Orlando Peters having to run around from point, and they got a single. 96 now for 2. McCarthy is on 7. Griffith back on strike. He's on 37. So what sort of score will you be giving the Jamaicans looking at the situation now, Aldwin, as the ball is steered down to our third man, and it's picked up by Orlando Peters. One ball left in the 14th, 97 for 2.
Game is still a very good game, and the target seemingly realizing perhaps about 150 at this point.
Kadeem Phillip is in once more, and the batsman is driving. That's McCarthy, can't score. He goes out to Owen Graham at extra cover. So a good over completed by Kadeem Phillip. Only 3 runs coming from it. And Jamaica 97 for 2 after 14 overs. 38 to Griffith and 7 to McCarthy.
Antigua's introduced two left arm spin bowlers, which seemingly working at this point. Perhaps is the angle of the deliveries, the trajectories that is stemming the flow of runs, and the ploy employed by the Antiguans is seemingly working, Jack.
Yes, because they've managed to produce a lot of dot balls in the last 2 overs, and the flying start initiated there by Chadwick Walton in particular, that now has not been sustained. And here is the ball hit involuntarily down towards the short third man area, and they come back, a chance for a run out. Did he make it in time? Yes, the return came into the keeper's end, and Griffith managed to make it to that end safely. So they got 2 runs for that. The score, they got a single, 98 for 2. So the signal of 1 shot. Yeah, so they attempted 2, but they got only 1 because someone did not ground their bat in their attempt to get to that end quickly and turn for the second. So 98 for 2 is the score. We're into the 15th over. Karima Gore continues, and the ball is turned away into the onside. They've crossed for 1. They won't come back for the second because it's Nino Henry who comes in very smartly from that deep mid-wicket area to pick the ball up. And the score is now 99 for 2 in the 15th. McCarthy on 8. He's the man on strike. Griffith 39. Kareem Gore, the left arm spinner, bowling around the wicket. McCarthy hits this one in the air. He's going to be caught. Yes, he is. Or is he dropped? Well, Tyrone Williams Jr. It's Graham. It's Graham, the culprit. Well, he judged that well, but he did not hold on. It went straight to him. The feeling let Antigua and Barbuda down in the I think it was the second match against Ghana. Perhaps it was the first one, and they can ill afford to drop catches. The 100 coming up of 87 deliveries, and here is another run for Griffith. So McCarthy was the man who had that chance. The ball went to this fielder, Owen Graham, coming off that straight mid-wicket boundary, and he just could not hold on. So Kareem Agor will continue. He will bowl to the right-handed McCarthy, and McCarthy is driving firmly down to the long-off area. Orlando Peters is there, and the batsman cross for 1. So Kareem Agor would be very, very disappointed about that, Aldwin.
Yes, very, very disappointed. I thought that the Jamaicans are getting very desperate right now, so they are looking to play some shots. So the Antiguans have to be on the ball with their eyes open, taking the necessary chances.
Gore is in, and it's driven, squeezing onto the body of the falling Kareem Agor down to the long-off position. So we have had 15 overs completed, and Jamaica 103 for 242 to Trevor Griffith, and 9 to Andrew McCarthy. We'll have more from Aldrin Chalmers-Walsh, the former Antiguan batsman. And then to carry you to the end of the innings, it will be Seth Burton.
I think the Antiguans have done quite a good job in stemming the flow of runs at the rate at the top of the innings where Chadwick Walton was going. It looked very ominous. They were at one point it looked as if Antigua was going to chase about 200. But since the intervention of Kareem Agor and Kadeem Phillip, 2 left-arm spin bowler, they seemingly are able to stem the flow of runs.
Well, you didn't quite complete it as a Liberta man. The twin spin Liberta left-armers.
I didn't want to show a bias, as I am from Liberta.
It's not a bias, it's reality. So deal with reality, Jam. Don't be overly modest. Yes, they're representing Antigua Barbuda, but they're Black Hawks players. And
Black
your
Hawks.
former Liberta and Antiguan player would recognize the twin spin of Kadeem and Karima. So, but it's Kadeem, the more strongly built of the two, who is about to come in. Over number 16 of the innings. He comes into Griffith. Griffith pulls this one. It will clear. It clears the boundary. It's 6 runs. Well struck. It was a bit short, and it stood up for the liking of Griffith, and he just pounced on it and just really exercised his strength and timing, dispatching the ball over mid-wicket for 6. Kadeem Phillip would not like this. Griffith, though, moves up to 48, and the Jamaica score up to 109 for 2. Here is he pulling this one. He's out caught, is he? The appeal comes up. Devon Thomas takes it. He throws it up with confidence. Kadeem Phillip is still looking at the umpire, perhaps asking what has gone wrong. But Trevor Griffith remains in his crease. He remains on 48. And the Jamaica score remains on 109 for 2. Phillip comes in to Griffith. Griffith drives at that in the air. Another 6. Lovely shot. Picked it up and dispatched it straight over the bowler's head. And we see the second 6 in the innings. His 50 comes up. The 50 coming up off 39 balls. We'll tell you how many 4s and how many 6s. And 3 4s and 2 6s. So a good 50 on the part of Trevor Griffith, pushing the Jamaica score further. So 37 balls, 49 minutes, 3 4s and 2 6s to the Guyanese left-hander who plays for the Jamaica team. And the Jamaicans now, they're pushing on. Here is Phillip. This time he has been struck once again over straight mid-wicket, another 6. Jama Walsh.
Yes, I think Kadeem Phillip has just lost concentration there after being hit for 2 6s and now the third. I think his concentration, his line, he's been knocked off his line, and he needs to take a moment and regroup and think about what he's doing. He's now gone around the wicket to change the angle to see if it make a difference.
So the Jamaica, they have gone into third gear now. Here is Phillip to Griffith. Griffith pulls this, hits this one straight. 6 more. The 4th 6. In fact, this one going right into the stand, almost at the bottom of the stand, the foundation of the Sir Andy Roberts stand and come back. 4 sixes in 5 deliveries. Jamaica really now have stepped up the pace. Wow. It is really 24 runs so far in this over. Here is Griffith driving at this one, out caught. Out caught by Mentor. He goes after really boosting his team. A wonderful innings by Trevon Griffith, striking 5 sixes in his innings of 66 from 42 balls, going caught Mentor of the bowling of Kadeem Phillip for 66. Jamaica 127 for 3, and over that really put Antigua Barbuda on pressure, but Kadeem Phillip was able to come back and take the wicket, I think, but giving away 24 runs from that over would really set back the huge effort that himself and Kareem Agor made earlier.
Totally unnecessary from Griffith. He struck Kadeem for 4 sixes, and going for that elaborate, expansive jive was totally unnecessary. He had already gotten 24. He needed to just push that ball in the gap, stay there as the batsman in, and see his team to a total of somewhere beyond reach.
Precisely. He was really flying, and the game was at a point where the Antiguans had really stormed back, and you were making the comment, and I, in fact, elaborated about the twin spin. Kareem Agor had completed his 4th. Kadeem Phillip was onto something, but he was really torn apart in that over. But it exposed something larger at the team level. I didn't see the cohesion after the first 6. I didn't see anybody coming and encouraging. After the second, everybody kept more distant. After the third, he was a loner, so you have to give him credit for coming back and taking the wicket. Here is the 17th over, starting with McCarthy cutting this one off. Orlando Peters, who has been brought back into the attack at the end of Kareem Agor's quota. So Orlando Peters, 1 for 11, and his first delivery was played out to extra cover for a single. So Antigua Barbuda would have to pull back because this score could go in excess of 160. 3 overs remaining after this. And here is Orlando Peters, the man who has bowled well for his team. This time, it's the French cut, because here is a chance for a run out, but missed totally. Is it Samuel Peters from the short fine leg position? That one was played inadvertently to fine leg. He was trying to drive, and the ball took the inside edge. It was an attempted cut, went past the stumps. An opportunity for the run out missed by Samuel Peters, and Orlando Peters continues to impress.
Yes, Orlando Peters is a true athlete. He's a natural. I think Marlon Samuel would have seen him and was immediately impressed with him.
This time he comes in, being driven out towards extra cover. Will the catch be taken by Nino Henry on the extra cover boundary. At the right time, McCartney goes, caught Nino Henry off the bowling of Orlando Peters for 10, and Antigua Barbuda striking an important blow at this juncture. The ball was pitched up and he thought he had it covered, but Nino Henry was placed on that extra cover boundary, perhaps for that exact reason, took a comfortable catch, and wicket number 4 goes down, and Peters will be happy. In fact, it was Kareem Agor and not Nino Peters. Not Nino Henry, sorry.
Like you alluded to, that was a comfortable catch. He didn't need to move left nor right. It went straight down his throat, and he accepted with both hands. Antiguans would feel somewhat of a reprieve now after the over before that. Kadeem was struck for some 4 sixes, and they would feel that they are very much still in this game. And if they are able to restrict the Jamaicans to a total of somewhere around 130, 140, they would feel that they're in for a big chance of winning this game tonight, offering themselves a chance in the finals on Saturday.
Well, that's important. That will be critical to their progress, not only their progress, but to their confidence, knowing that Antigua Barbuda, we do not have a team in the CPL, and I think these guys reaching the final is critical. Here's Peters on this occasion being driven by, it looks like Merchant, who comes in, and Peters fields on the bounce. We speak about Orlando Peters. I'm not speaking only about Samuel seeing him. I think he's a youngster who would have merited his opportunity over the years. He has gotten a few opportunities at the leagueward level, but I don't think he has been given the length of runs. Also, an excellent T20 personnel, would have gotten onto a couple of teams, gotten a few games, did reasonably well, but has never been really given that fair, and I think he's made for this type of game. Here is Merchant pulling this one. In fact, playing with a flat bat. The ball ended up out at long on for the tall and slender Kofi James to come around to field. 2 for 14 so far for Orlando Peters. 1 ball remaining in over number 17. And I think if the Antiguans can restrict them to 150, they would even stand a better chance than we would imagine. The Jamaicans batting would have shown some brittleness prior to this game. Here is Peters, a good one into Allen. Allen plays the ball, to the short fine leg position. Orlando Peters was running up towards the striker's end to receive the ball from Samuel Peters, but instead Peters opted to throw at the non-striker's end, and in the end, the batsman coming through easily for a single. That completes over number 17. At the end of over number 17, with 2 relative new batsmen at the crease, Fabian Allen on 1 and Merchant on 1. It's a good opportunity for Antigua Barbuda to try and restrict the opponents. If they can do so effectively, perhaps they would have a chance with the Jamaicans on 131 for 4.
It is a good opportunity having relatively 2 new batters at the crease. What the Antiguans would want to do is to make sure that they would take all the necessary opportunities, whether to stem the flow of runs or take the catches, put the Jamaicans under pressure, and try as much as possible to limit them to somewhere around 150.
So we have seen a bowling change. In fact, they have brought back Owen Graham, whose 2 overs went for 19 runs. I'm not quite sure that I'm following the rationale here. As Graham comes in, this one hoist in the air. Will it be taken by Kareem Agor? It's high. He has judged it well. Comes up with the catch. And Graham has delivered the goods after not such a good start to his batting. He pitched this one up and he swung. He went through the line, Fabian Allen. But he was caught by Kareem Agor, who has taken his second catch. Graham gets his first wicket. Jamaica declining on 131 for 5. In over number 18.
What the Jamaicans need to do at this stage is to offer themselves a chance by batting the other 2.5 overs. Try to get themselves up to even a psychological score of 150 and not give away their wickets so easily.
Yes, very important. You're right, Audwin Walsh, because the truth is, you're there, the more runs you get. But you're trying these strokes that are not coming off. And when you can really work it around, when you can pick the gaps and then perhaps wait for last charge in the last over. But they're showing a sign of desperation. Let's look after Chadwick Walton departed. They really went on the decline, because Walton was second to go when the score was on 82 for 2 when he went for 43. And apart from Griffith and a partnership between Griffith and McCartney of some 43 runs, otherwise it has been wicket stumbling. But let's see, it's the tall man, well in fact it's O'Dane Williams who is going to replace the outgoing Allen. But it's Merchant who is on strike. Merchant faces up to Owen Graham. He drives out to the mid-wicket region. Quickly, young Kareem Agor comes across fields, puts some pressure on the batsman not to attempt that second run, and the single puts Merchant to 2. And Williams, who is going to face Graham, comes into strike for, would it be his first delivery? Let's see what happened. His second delivery. Here is Graham. Hits this one in the air. It covers the fielder at long on and goes wide long on and goes in over the boundary for 6. I don't think it was really a called for delivery. It was the first ball from Graham to this new batsman. He opted for slow delivery when he could have kept on his regular pace, and now that 6 gives the Jamaicans a boost. They move to 138. Here is this one down the leg side, 4 runs. Not well directed. Owen Graham has been all over the place. Down the leg side, the ball from the flick of the bat. Merchant pushing on to 10, a 6 and a 4 in successive deliveries. Not what the doctor orders.
One wonders why the captain opted for Graham. Actually, for his first 2 overs, he went for almost 20. And now in the dying stage, where his confidence is down, the captain went for him again.
Williams this time is beaten from a slow delivery. Graham going back for the slow delivery. And perhaps that's his response. No run on that occasion. But Graham being put on the pressure here by the Jamaican batsman. Williams, the man who has moved to 10, not Merchant. Merchant is on 2. Graham comes into Williams. Williams whips it off the pads into the mid-wicket region. They, of course, for 1, they will not come back for the 2nd because the speedy Kareem Agor comes off the mid-wicket boundary. A single to Williams. He moves to 11. And we have seen a game of 2 pace. And we have seen a game of fluctuated fortunes because after that decline and dip, 3 wickets being lost by the Jamaicans within a space of some 4 runs. We have now seen a good showing on the part of Williams, getting 11 runs off that over and really putting the Jamaicans back in a good position.
Well, you would expect it's the latter part of the innings, the Jamaicans looking to get runs. So they would take the chances, and you perhaps would see more boundaries hitting from here on.
Yes. So it's Orane Williams who will face up once again, but this time it's Orlando Peters who is bowling his final, and the 19th of the innings gets one on the pads going down the leg side. Shaking of the head from umpire Knight, who decides that cannot be an appeal that warrants his attention. So Orane Williams will have another chance to have a go. He was successful in that over when he faced Owen Graham. This time it's a different kettle of fish. It is young Orlando Baby Peters. Because I call him baby, I always say young. Here is Peters, comes into Williams. Williams is wrapped well. In fact, the ball striking the bat and then hitting the pad goes out to the short backward point position for Henry to field. He gets a single, but his body position was always a matter of concern. So Orlando Peters, 29 years old.
Orlando Peters.
Peters.
And I'm sure it's okay to marry baby with young.
That's right. I mean, I saw him since he was about 10 years old, playing cricket and going into the nets with the Leeward Islands at Factory Ground. And since then, I always just saw him as that little baby. This one is struck over the long boundary. 6 runs, a good shot. It stood up. Perhaps he opted for the slower delivery. The Jamaica 150 coming up of 111 deliveries. That was not Orlando Peters at his best. The first 2 deliveries of the over, they were well up, and they really did not give the batsmen anything to hit at. But that one stood up, a slower delivery. I don't think you really need that slower delivery when you're already on top of the batsman and when that batsman is not really in the thick of things. And here we see a little lapse in concentration.
Lapse. And I'm sure Curtly Ambrose would advise Baby Peters to bowl full and straight. Let him drive it down the ground.
Comes in this time. This one is driven. A full pitch delivery. Kofi James comes across, cleans up well, because that one was towards his left. And he was able to come across and save what could have been 4 or even 2 had he fumbled the ball. The score moves to 151 for 5. Jamaica, as they got started with Walton and Taylor. Taylor was the first because Stephen Taylor caught Thomas off the bowling of Orlando Peters for 4. It was 17 for 1. Then that partnership between Griffith and Walton. Here is this time Peters pitching it wide outside the off stump, but the batsman Williams was able to reach out to it, playing it to Kadeem Phillip at backward point, getting a single, moves to 12 and the score up to 152. And that partnership between Griffith and And Walton of 65 really got Jamaica onto the top of things, but then Walton was deceived by Karima Gore, caught by Nino Henry. He scored 43. This one is outside the off stump, wide signal by umpire Knight, rightly so, going away from Merchant, not really pitching towards the stump. Orlando Peters score moves to 153 for 5, but Walton really batted well. In 1 over, he really, well, in fact, he had 4 fours. In 1 over, I thought he was about to step up the momentum after hitting Karima Gore for that 6. Then he perished, but it was Trevon Griffith who really stepped up the momentum, took 24 from 1 over from Kadeem Phillip. This one is wide once again. What is Orlando Peters up to?
I think he's overthinking at the moment, recognizing that earlier he what that slow long hop. He's now trying to read our minds when we suggest that he needed to bowl fuller and straighter.
Yes, he's bowling fuller, but not straighter. So I think here is where it's just one delivery to end this quarter. Let's see what he does. This one is just on the line, barely riding the line, and it was completely missed by Merchant. Fortunately for Orlando Peters, he completes his 4 overs, no maiden, 2 for 25. Jamaica at the end of over number 19, they're 154 for 5. Merchant is on 9, Williams is on 12, and they are in a very good position. The big question for you, with 1 over to go, who is going to bowl the final over after we saw that over from Owen Graham, which was really not on top? But it looks like Graham coming back.
It looks like Graham coming back. At this point, that the captain must be extremely confident in the ability of Owen Graham. After 3 overs, there was nothing to write home about, but perhaps the captain is suggesting that there isn't any experience to go off of at this moment. But
this
Graham,
one, he hits this one in the air. Will Graham take the ball and caught, or it's Devon Thomas who comes from behind the stump, takes the catch. A welcome wicket for Antigua Barbuda, and also some solace for Owen Graham, who really had already gone for 31 runs. So William goes, caught Thomas off the bowling of Graham. Skying a delivery that was pitched up, and he was really trying to hit this one out of the park, but did not succeed. Jamaica 154 for 6 with 5 balls remaining.
it was a slow delivery. It was good thinking by Owen Graham. He's not having the best night as a bowler. However, in this last over, the first delivery of the last over, he thought of what he was going to do. He slowed it up, recognizing that the batters would be going off of him, and he just skied it just at the short mid-wicket region where the keeper just run around and take a comfortable catch.
Yes. So let's see who comes in to join Jamie Merchant. Merchant has been there with Orrin Williams before he departed. They were managed to put on an important 23-run partnership. Here is he swinging at this one. The ball striking the pad, but that back foot was planted outside the off stump. They nevertheless come through. Was it a leg by?
It looks like a leg
and by. The leg by takes the score up to 155 for 6. So after Walton would have departed at 82 for 1, then it was Trevon Griffith who was caught mentor of the bowling of Kadeem Phillip. That was after he scored 66 and took 24 out of that over. Here is he pulling a good slow one on the part of Graham. A much better over, not really conceding that many runs. Just in fact 1 run coming so far, and he has taken a wicket from this over. That is from him, apart from the extra, the leg by and the wide which he bowled. So Graham trying to pull back things here for Antigua Barbuda. The score moves to 156 for 6, and he turns, but Merchant is not ready. Merchant has been joined by Walters. Here is Graham. He pulls this one. That's 6 runs for just forward of the square leg umpire. It was short. It was a slow delivery. Nothing was on it, and the tall man Merchant stood up and just pulled it effortlessly over the boundary at forward of square for 4, ordering was quite a mix.
I'm not sure why Owen Graham opted to bowl 4 consecutive slow deliveries, and I'm sure at this point he needs to change his strategy.
This time he comes in now. He's driven. In fact, 6 more. Over cover. Over extra cover. This one was pitched up outside the off stump. We spoke about the rationale for bringing back Graham. The Jamaicans, they're really soaring here. The score rushes up to 168 for 6. And this over will hurt the Antigua Barbuda team. 13 runs have already gone off this. The final over, 1 ball remaining. Graham not really standing up and delivering the way his captain expected. He comes in now with the final delivery of the innings. He's driven. He has been driven outwards, long off, but good bit of fielding by Henry, who comes off the boundary. In fact, it looks like Benter, who may have come on for another player, rifles the return in. That completes the innings. Merchant ends on 23 from 10 balls. Walters remains not out on naught. Jamaica being sent in by Antigua Barbuda. Jama Walsh 170 for 6. I don't think the Antiguans would be happy having sent the Jamaicans in.
Certainly, 170 for 6, even though Antigua would have gotten 170 in a previous game, it is an uphill task. It means that they would have to go out there with a plan to get these runs and to get them comfortably. I must comment that the captain seemingly had lost confidence himself, because he would have bowled in the previous game, did well, and he has failed, in my opinion, to bring himself on. I thought he should have brought himself on, even in this last over, because Owen Graham certainly all night has not been able to pitch.
But explain then that to me, that the captain would have had in his opening game a 4-wicket haul, wasn't it? And
for 3 wickets.
3-wicket haul, right? 3 for 15 was it? And he did not bowl tonight. We looked at it. We saw what was happening. Yes, Orlando Peters bowled well, but someone needed to have bowled the last over after Kadeem Phillip was taken for 20-odd in his, the last over he bowled. Someone had to come back, but I don't think after Graham would have given away 19, almost 20 from 2, that you would have brought him back. They did. He conceded another 11 in that over, and then you decide to bring him back. He had a couple of slow ones, he had a wicket, but at the end of the day, at the end of the innings, he really placed Antigua Barbuda in a sorry situation, with Jamaica motoring on to 170.
I would have gone back to Kadeem Phillip. Even though he would have been struck for some 4 sixes, the first 2 overs he was pretty steady, and he showed that he had the ability to stem the flow of runs. And in that last over, I would have gone back for Kadeem Phillip instead of Graham.
Yes, because the challenge may have been for the captain whether or not you could have gone back, whether or not you could have commissioned a new bowler, someone who did not bowl. He had Samuel Peters as an option, who started the bowling, who has a bit more pace than Graham. You also had as you mentioned, the Phillip option. He did not go for that. But just to run through the scorecard here, the Jamaicans who were sent in by Antigua Barbuda, they started with Chadwick Walton and Stephen Taylor. Walton coming at the top of the innings for the first time in the tournament, and really played to good effect. But it was Steve Taylor who was first out. He was caught by Thomas, a good diving catch behind the wicket off the bowling of Orlando Peters for 4. The score was 17 for 1, and that was the second ball of the third over. Then there was a good, strong partnership which really set things up for the Jamaicans between Trevon Griffith, the number 3 batsman who joined Walton, and the two really batted well and carried the score up to 82 for 2 before Walton went caught Nino Henry off the bowling of Kareem Agor, trying to hit a 6 over cover, but was well caught on the boundary. He went for 43 at 82 for 2. That was after 10.1 overs. Then Griffith remained. He was joined by Andre McCarthy, The two batted well, but there was Trevon Griffith, who was really speeding up things, and he really had an onslaught on Kadeem Phillips, striking 4 sixes in a critical time in the 16th over. And on the last ball of the 16th over, he opted to take Phillip out. But in the end, for his 5th six, but in the end, he played out to Mentor at a mid-off position. He was caught by Mentor off the bowling of Phillip for 66. That was an excellent innings. He struck 5 sixes and 4 fours. And Jamaica losing wicket number 3 at 127. And after that, there was certainly a bit of decline on the part of the Jamaicans, because McCartney, who was joined by Fabian Allen, they really did not do much to the score. Allen was caught by Kareem Agor once again on the boundary of Graham for 2. It was 131 for 5, and then shortly after, in fact, McCarthy would have gone just before him, caught Gore off the bowling of Orlando Peters for 10. The 4th wicket prior to that 5th went down at 129 for 4. Then we saw both Jamie Merchant and Orane Williams. They were coming together to push on for the Jamaicans, but when Williams got to 12, he was caught, Thomas, trying to lift Graham over the top, and he was caught for 12. The score 154 for 6. And Merchant at the end was joined by O'Shane Walters. O'Shane Walters did not trouble the score, but Merchant really put bat to ball in the final over and really struck a few sixes that really shattered the confidence of Owen Graham. He remained not out on 23 from 10 balls, and Jamaica scoring 170 for 6. We're yet to confirm how many extras were in the innings, or in fact 10 extras in the innings. And the bowling for Antigua Barbuda, Orlando Peters, who started and bowled well, 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 25. He definitely was good. Samuel Peters, who started at the opposite end, his 2 overs went for 18. Owen Graham, his 4 overs went for 45 runs. That was really taking the cake from Antigua Barbuda. 4 overs, 2 for 45. Justin Martinez, his 4 overs went for 30 runs. He didn't get a wicket. Kareem Agor, he was spectacular. I think himself and Orlando Peters did an excellent job. 4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 22. 4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 22. And Kadeem Phillip, 2 overs for 27 runs. He had a wicket. And I think, Audrey Walsh, as you wrap up just the innings comments, the bowling between Graham and Kadeem Phillip may have been the difference. But also, we must pay attention to the excellent batting of Trevon Griffith, the good start given by Chadwick Walton, and then the tail end finish by Jermaine Merchant.
Yes, Chadwick Walton and Griffith, they are the difference between the games or the teams tonight. I must comment that Walton showed that he has played cricket at the highest level, and for a moment I see many strokes all around the ground. He played them disdainfully, and it tells me that he is a touch of class. It amazes me how, after going so well, that these guys still continue to play these indigenous strokes and getting out so easily. It must be a plague in the West Indies after you would have gotten in and would have set yourself to take the game away from the opponent. You just gave it away. Nevertheless, the Antiguans should feel extremely proud of themselves, because at one time it looks very ominous. The way Walton and Griffith was going, it looks as if they were going to chase 200 plus. However, somewhere in the middle, they were able to stem the flow of run. I must commend young Kareem Agor. He was very steady, and he was thinking all the time. He was very nimble on his feet, and he was able to stem the flow of runs, pegging them back a bit.
So, after your comments, Jamaica striking at 8.5 runs per over. Antigua Barbuda will require 171 runs for victory if they are to move forward and play in that final against Guyana. So you'd rejoin us when we ask you to get going for the start of the Antigua Barbuda's innings. For the reply, they would be chasing 171 for victory. So until then, it's back to the studio.
Come now, put our heads. And welcome back to coverage of this crucial match tonight in the Independence Tri-Nation Series organized by the Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Association. And on board in terms of sponsors, Cool and Smooth, Special Security, Ministry of Sports, Ace Bryden, local agents for Blue Waters and Caribbean, and ABS Radio. Antigua and Barbuda, they'll need 171 to win the match and claim a spot in Saturday's final against Ghana. Jamaica will need to restrict Antigua and Barbuda on the 170 because they made 170 for 6 of their 20 overs. It was almost a seesaw batting performance by the Jamaicans. They made a terrific start with Chadwick Walton and Trevor Griffith putting on 65 for the second wicket in relatively quick time. And then there was almost a lull. And then frenetically we saw Jamie Merchant hitting his way to 23 in the latter part of the innings with a little bit of support from Orain Williams. And they managed to push the score up to that 170 for 6. Trevor Griffith hit 66. And in sensational fashion, he had 4 consecutive sixes off the left-arm spinner, Kadeem Phillip. And those sixes came towards the end of his innings. He also had 3 fours, and those 66 came off 42 deliveries. So here's the first ball. Owen Graham and Tyrone Williams Jr. opening the batting for Antigua and Barbuda. Williams is the man on strike. The first ball was just going maybe rushing the batsman's pad on its way through to the wicket-keeper. So they're not for no wicket after one delivery. And it's being bowled by Pete Salmon, the off-spinner, bowling from the commentary box end. He's into Williams, and Williams is back, and the ball not taken by the wicket-keeper, Stephen Taylor, and it goes away towards the man at that slip position. Curtly Ambrose, the former West Indies fast bowler, is alongside me, and he'll be giving his assessment momentarily of proceedings. And it's pushed away into the onside, and they go for the quick single. The wicketkeeper can't prevent it. Stephen Taylor rushing from behind the stumps. But the 2 Antiguan opening batsmen, Graham and Williams, were fast between the stumps. 1 for no wicket in the first.
Yes, 170 made by Jamaica. It is a formidable total. And it's going to really take some good batting on the part of Antigua and Barbuda and Master Blast to get to that 171 for victory. And it's a do-or-die situation for both teams. And I'm quite sure that Jamaica would have feel the more confident of the two at this point. But only 2 deliveries gone, so we shall see what happens.
Pete Salmon, the off-spinner, is in, and Owen Graham turns it into the onside, but he can't get a run. The ball not going as far as it did when Tyrone Williams pushed it towards the mid-wicket position. It was just maybe 7 yards or so away from the bat, and the wicket-keeper was smartly from behind the stumps, Stephen Taylor. It remains on 1 for no wicket. We have had 4 deliveries in the opening over. And here is Pete Salmon. He's in. And the batsman again cramped. Owen Graham can only just turn it into the onside. It goes away towards the backward short leg, backward square leg position. And there is no addition to the score. So only 1 run so far. And 5 deliveries have been bowled by the off-spinner Pete Salmon, operating from this Curtly Ambrose on northern end of the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. There's a slip in place and a ring of fielders on the offside. Salmon with the last ball of the first over, and he's looking for a single sent back by Tyrone Williams Jr. Because the fielder was closing in very, very quickly onto that ball from the backward square position. So not a good start by Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters. They need to get 171 to win the match. They are 1 for no wicket after 1 over.
I think that the key thing here is going to be this power play, because they got to at least try and utilize the power play with only 2 fielders outside the circle at this point. And you wouldn't want to dig yourself into a bit of a hole with the power play during the power play, because when the field is spread, it could prove to be a little more difficult. So this first 6 overs, well, the remaining 5 overs of the power play is going to be crucial.
Yeah, the asking rate 8.85. So they'll have to be very, very careful when it gets in the vicinity of 9-10. It's almost a crisis facing the batting side, especially at the start of the innings. So they will be looking to get a very quick start if they're going to remain in this match. We're going to see Shane Walters with the second delivery, and this is hit over the top, and it's going away, bouncing towards the position at deep cover, and they come back for the second run. The return is away from the stumps of the bowler's end, just pulling O'Shane Walters away from the stumps, and they're back for the second. Looked to have hit it well enough initially. That was the impression, but it did not come off the sweet part of the bat, and so it held up in the outfield and was pulled back by the man running back from the middle-off position within the 30-yard circle. 2 more to the score, 3 for no wicket. Tyrone Williams on 3. So here is Walters. He's in, and this ball is down the leg side, called wide by umpire Ivor Lewis. So the spinner there, O'Shane Walters, just losing his line, going outside the line of the right-hander's leg stump. Tyrone Williams Jr. settles over his bat, slightly square on, and gets a ball which bowls him. Bowled. He was late on the defensive shot, and the ball went through his defenses. He has been bowled by Walters for 3, and Antigua and Barbuda not only making not enough runs in terms of that first over, not making a terrific start in terms of runs, but they've also lost an early wicket with Williams bowled by Walters for 3. They're 4 for 1.
The delivery seemed to have kept a little bit low, but Williams Jr. really was on the back foot as opposed to be going forward, and he paid the ultimate price of being bowled. 2 of the 3 stumps were knocked down flat, and I reckon he should have been forward. Would have stood a better chance as opposed to play on the back foot. The ball kept a little low, and he had no answer for it. It was bowled, and Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters losing the first wicket with a score at 4. Not a very good start for them.
Not a good start. Orlando Peters has come out to do battle. He has had a fairly good run with the bat. Missed out in the last game, and so much resting on his shoulders, and also the shoulders of Devon Thomas and Captain Kerry Mentor. Those 3 have been the main scorers so far for the Antigua and Barbuda team, so it's important that Orlando Peters stay out there for some time and score at a good clip to help keep his side in this game. 29 years of age, had an unbeaten half-century when they won the tournament last year in that final. Is he coming forward and beaten outside the line of the off-stump? A little bit circumspect in that defensive prod by Orlando Peters. As Walters eager to come at the batsman, comes in and he's defending. And the ball rolls into the mid-wicket area. Feel that they're sprinting in. So the Jamaicans are bubbling at the moment. They're very confident, having made 170 and having picked up an early wicket. And the Antiguans are going at a crawl at the moment. This is over number 2, only 4 runs on the ball. It's driven in the air by Orlando Peters. It goes away towards the boundary and it's gone away for 4. So that was a good shot, playing through the line, hitting that one aerially, but there's no one in the outfield on the offside. And the mid-off running back, unable to pull it back. And Orlando Peters scores the first boundary of the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters reply. They're 8 for 1. Peters on 4.
That's what they got to do. The Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters, they got to try and capitalize on this power play, this first power play, the first 6 overs.
A long off now in place, and the mid-wicket has come into the circle. Here's he driving. He's going to be caught. No, he goes away for 6. Initially, it looked as if it would have gone straight down the throat of the man who was pushed back at that long off position. But Orlando Peters timed it beautifully. It was effortless as well. It didn't look as if he had put a lot into it, but the timing was superb, and the ball, in fact, took flight as it got to him and went over his head. It was a leaping long off fielder, unable to get anything on it, and the ball went away for 6. So a 4 and a 6 to end that second over, and Antigua and Barbuda 14 for 1. All of a sudden, so 2, 4, and a 6 have lifted the score to 14 for 1 after 2 overs, going at 7 per over.
It was a risky shot. I mean, of course, it went for 6, but for a brief moment, I thought it was going, like quite rightly mentioned, Jack, I thought it was going to go down the throat of the long off fielder. He jumped for all his worth, but the ball just eluded him. But it was a risky shot because the fielder was just put in that position, and it would have looked real comical had he been out caught. So it was very risky.
Yes, but he's confident. Orlando Peters has been scoring a lot of runs here. Is he driving? So the right-handed Owen Graham, I thought he was playing across the line of that as well. He should have been looking to hit that one straight because Pete Salmon bowls quite flat. So it doesn't really give you the chance to get underneath the ball, and you don't want to be playing across the line of his deliveries. As the crowd watches, as Pete Salmon in his yellow top and black sweatsuit bottom, as he bowls a ball which is steered away into the point region, and no chance for the batsman to score. So Owen Graham yet to score. He has faced 5 deliveries. He was battered about. He conceded 45 runs in his 4 overs, picked up 2 wickets, and now he has been asked to make the runs, to make amends for the bowling performance we saw early on from him. I'll ask Curly to comment on why the captain, Kerry Mentor, didn't bowl. I don't know if the collision had anything to do with it. Maybe he got injured. Maybe he wasn't feeling well enough to bowl. Here's Owen Graham swinging this ball away down to backward square for 4. So he hit that one very well. He went back. It was on the short side, and he whipped the ball away. It was a very good shot down towards the backward square position for boundary.
Certainly was a good shot. It was pitched short by Salmon and on leg stump as well, and Graham was equal to the task. Pulled it away just behind square for 4. And, of course, 4 welcome runs, and they need a lot more of those before the end of the power play.
18 for 1 halfway through the 3rd over. 10 to Peters, 4 to Owen Graham. Pete Salmon will continue. And he bowls now to Graham, and the right-hander is defending, steering the ball away. The man moves from slip away to his right to do the fielding. That looks to be Chadwick Walton, the captain, moving from slip. Yes, in the first match, which the Antiguans won against Jamaica, Kerry Mentor had 4 overs, 3 for 16. 4 overs, 3 for 16 in that match. Did not bowl tonight in the second game against the Jamaicans. And a similar stroke has been played by Graham. Nothing really adventurous about the stroke. Just putting the bat onto the ball. No aggressive intent. Got the impression he was looking for single. Here is Salmon into bowl team, and he is hitting the ball into the onside. Another dot ball. So we've had a string of dot balls. The over has come to an end. 3 overs completed. Antigua and Barbuda going at 6 per over. The asking rate now up to 9. The decision by Mentor not to bowl. Again, we have to go cautiously on this one because perhaps he sustained an injury during the collision with Griffith. But it was rather strange that after having that bowling performance against the same Jamaicans, with a bowler really needed at that point when Graham was being smashed about, he did not bring himself on.
I believe that the collision had something to do with it, because obviously the last time he played against Jamaica, he would have picked up 3 wickets, like you mentioned.
For 16 runs in 4 overs.
16, which is very, very commendable. So obviously you want to get back among the wickets. So I reckon that collision with Griffith and the stumps had something to do with it, why he didn't bowl.
Walters will continue. The wicket taker, he bowled Tyrone Williams Jr. in his last over. Williams departed for 3 when the score was on 4 in the 2nd over of the innings. The target again, 171. They need to score 9 per over now. Pushed into the offside. Ball goes square. Orlando Peters picks up his 11th run. Tegan Barbuda a 19 for 1. The top scorer for the Jamaicans, Trevon Griffith, he made 66 of 42 deliveries, 4 sixes and 3 fours. The 4 sixes hit in succession of the left-arm spinner, Kadeem Phillip. and the captain Chadwick Walton made 43. They had a 65-run partnership for the second wicket. Walton hitting 5 fours and 2 sixes, and his 43 came off 33 deliveries. And later on, we saw Jamie Merchant smashing 23 not out. They'll push the score up to that 170 mark for Jamaica. So Antigua and Barbuda, Master Blasters, they need 171 to win. And the asking rate is 9 per over. They're going at 6. Here is a ball which is driven, a dot ball again by Owen Graham. So he has had what? He has had 10 dot balls. The scoreboard is showing 4. So 4 runs, and he has had 10. He has 4 from 10 balls, not 10 dot balls. Here's he driving and bowled. Oh, it was a terrible stroke. He lifted his head and went for a heave, and he's been bowled by Walters for 4. So he's had a wretched game, Owen Graham. 4 overs, 2 for 45 with the ball, and now just managing to scrape 4 before being bowled all over the place by Walters. 19 for 2 Antigua and Barbuda as Owen Graham walks back. Bowled by Walters for 4 in the 4th over.
Certainly was a poor shot or a poor attempt, because Walters obviously bowling very flat, not giving the ball much air, and he tried to hit him for 6 over the long-off region. Lifted his head, was nowhere close to the delivery, wasn't in position, and paid the price, was bowled, and that was a poor attempt really. And Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters losing their second wicket, and they're slumping into further trouble.
Yes, it's a situation that they did not want. They wanted to get a good start and certainly not lose early wickets, because they will need to sustain the momentum if they're going to get up to that target, and they needed wickets in hand. 2 key players out in the middle now. They run very well together, and they're very experienced cricketers in Orlando Peters, joined by Devon Thomas, who comes off the mark right away as he clips the ball in the vicinity of square leg. So he's 1, and it's now 20 for 2. The bowling for Antigua and Barbuda in that 170 for 6 made by Jamaica. Orlando Peters, 4 overs, 2 for 25. Again showing consistency with the ball. Orlando Peters, 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 25. Walters is in to bowl to him, and he's dabbing the ball away down to the short third man area. He can't score. The nimble-footed player comes in from that backward point position. Jamaicans on their toes. They're sensing the opportunity here of making Saturday night's final. Here is Walters in once more, and he's back and cutting at this ball. Goes straight to the man at cover point, and there is no addition to the score. So we've had, 4 overs completed. They're 20 for 2, 11 to Orlando Peters, and 1 to Devon Thomas. Contrastingly, Samuel Peters had 2 overs, none for 18. So Orlando Peters was economical and incisive, but Samuel Peters was hit about 9 runs per over. You can see that in his 2. Owen Graham, the most expensive of all, 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 45. Justin Athanaze, left-arm spinner, was also expensive, 4 overs, none for 30. Kareem Agor bowled well, left-arm spinner. Diminutive, but he certainly bowled with a lot of heart. 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 22. And Kadeem Phillip, 2 overs, 1 for 27. The bowling for the Antiguans. Not particularly encouraging, but we're talking about 2020 cricket, and we know that it can change in a very, very short time. So although the Antiguans are struggling at the moment, at 20 for 2, in a matter of a few overs, you could see the scoring rate skyrocket. That's the nature of the T20 format.
Most certainly. At the moment, the required run rate is 9.44 at the moment, creeping up. But I've always believed that in T20 cricket, 1 or 2 good overs could win your game, or 1 or 2 bad overs could cost you a game.
So Odean Smith is into the attack, and here is the ball, an attempted cut shot by the right-handed Devon Thomas, trying to hit it off the back foot. He missed it and went through to wicketkeeper Taylor.
It was a loose shot on the part of Devon Thomas. Didn't really look to be in control, and luckily for him, he didn't get an edge.
Odean Smith can be sharp, comes in, and he is hooking at this ball, gets it fine, 4 runs. So it was short, and it hustled onto him. And there was Devon Thomas going for the hook shot. Wasn't in control, but he got it away from Taylor, and it went flying down to the fine leg boundary for 4 runs.
Yes, he looked to me like he stepped over to the offside a little bit before the ball delivered. Hence, he had the control to get it past the keeper down to fine leg for 4.
Smith runs away from us, right arm over the wicket, bustles in, and here is a ball which is driven, but it goes straight to the man at mid-wicket. And there is no addition to the score, so we've had quite a bit of dot balls during the course of the innings already. Smith walking back to the top of his mark, 20 years of age. Odean Smith. And is bowling to a slip. So Jamaica looking for wickets as well. There's a fielder now on the deep square leg boundary. So we may see another short delivery from Smith. Yes, this is outside the line of the off stump. And the batsman was into the drive, Devon Thomas, playing a flowing extra cover drive, but straight to the fielder, and no chance for him to score. So they will have to look at the dot balls they're conceding at the moment securely. Dean Smith is on his way once more to Thomas, and Thomas is driving. They'll get a single this time. He goes down to the mid-on fielder. He is hustling, and so the batsmen between the wickets, they ran through very, very quickly. They're very good runners, these two, and they run well together.
They certainly do. And, of course, both young and energetic and very athletic as well. And they seem to play well together. And that is going to be the key here for them to build a partnership.
The asking rate 9.63. Last ball of the 5th over, it's wide. It was outside the line of the off stump. And the batsman, Orlando Peters, is just watching the ball. And then the umpire stretching out his arms. The umpire, Alvin James Knight, at the northern end of the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium doing the umpiring duties. He's been assisted by Ivor Lewis at square leg. Here is Odean Smith, and the batsman is beaten by a good delivery. It was a sharp delivery, and there was Orlando Peters not having really been able to do much with that. It was sharp, it was lifting, and there was a little inward movement into him as well. It was a good delivery, a delivery that Security Ambrose would have been very, very proud of. So at the end of the 5th over of the innings, Antigua and Bobby, the Master Blasters, they need to get 171 to win. And at the moment, they are on 26 for 2, 11 to Peters and 6 to Thomas Moore from Security, and then it will be Seth Burton.
Yes, they need to really push on.
Ball is driven and dropped by the man running back from the mid-off position. It was a ball hit in the air by Devon Thomas, looking to clear the fielder and probably go for 6. But he mistimed it, and it was hanging in the air. The fielder running back unable to hold on, so chance to Devon Thomas as Seth Burton prepares to come in. It is 28 now for 2, and the ball is driven away into the mid-wicket position, and there is no run. Securely.
It was a very lucky escape for Devon Thomas.
Let's see what he does this time. This time he covers up, plays the ball into the onside, and he perhaps must be thinking, I need to settle down. I guess he's anxious. He wants to get on with it. The wicketkeeper batsman faces Walters, and he stands up straight and plays the ball back to the bowler. Walters, one of those bowlers with that sort of strange action. I would call it an unsmooth off break. Here is he, comes in to Thomas. Thomas pulls at that. The ball goes forward of the square leg umpire to the fielder coming off the boundary. Sends the return in. Single to Devon Thomas. Thomas moves to 8. In fact, 9. And the Antigua Barbuda response, 29 for 2. They're in search of 179. They're up against it. They are just scoring at 5.12 runs per over, needing 9.91 from here. Orlando Peters goes back and tucks it into the onside, and no run. But that completes Walters' well, his third over, and 3 overs, 2 for 18, 6 runs per over off him, but he took the 2 wickets, Williams and Graham.
I am not too happy with the way Devon Thomas is playing at the moment. Taking too many chances. There's nothing wrong with being aggressive and going for your shots. But the key word here, you got to be selective. You can't just try to hit every delivery for a boundary. You got to be selective in what you're going and play positively. But I don't like the way Devon Thomas is playing. He's flirting with danger. He's been dropped a few deliveries before, and he's the one, the guy who have to stay there along with Orlando Peters and build a good, solid partnership.
Well, these two would have to bat, as Sir Curtly says. Here is Thomas flashing at this one outside the off stump. His feet were planted. He was not moving into the ball or away from the ball. It was pitched outside the off stump. It was coming through quickly, and he really just threw the bat at it. He was a bit off balance. The ball went through, and I guess I could understand your concern, Sir Curtly. Here is Smith. Comes in over the wicket to Thomas. Thomas plays this one, edges to the right of the man at first, slip into the boundary for 4. Not in control. You got the impression at the last minute he may have raised the bat a bit to steer the ball, but he would have had to know that there was no second slip to be confident playing a shot like that. Nevertheless, he gets 4. He moves into double figures onto 13, and the Antigua Barbuda reply just inching up to 33 for 2.
It doesn't matter how the runs come, but Devon Thomas at the moment not looking the way that we are accustomed to seeing play. He's in a bit of trouble. Can't seem to get the score going and flirting with danger.
Here is Smith. Comes in over the wicket. Thomas cuts this one. Certain on this occasion will beat the man coming around from third man into the backward point boundary for 4. This time he was in control, though the ball took the bottom of the bat. Smith was coming in, and he really moved into position, cracked it with confidence, and no man moved on that occasion. The score moves to 37 for 2. Thomas may be going in confidence.
That was a much better shot. He was in better control of that shot, knew what he wanted to do, and put it away for 4.
Smith is here. Thomas waits. Thomas pulls this one in the air. He will be out caught, and this is got to be it. A big, big blow for Antigua Barbuda. Curtly Ambrose may have sensed it before. Over aggression. He had already gotten 17 runs. He had just struck 2 4s in the over. He had a shortish ball coming onto him. Played it in the air. Easy catch to McCarthy, who took it at a short mid-wicket position, running back. Smith gets the wicket. Antigua Barbuda really floundering at 37 for 3. Devon Thomas going down for 17.
I'm not really surprised, to be quite fair with you said, because I've said that from the time he came into bat. He's flirting with danger. He never looked the part. He played one good shot, of course, but he always looked like he's not in control. So I'm not surprised. I don't know what his thinking was, but he is one of the guys who the Antigua Barbuda Master expect to bat deep into the innings, because if he stays there long enough, they will have a good chance of getting to that 171. Unfortunately, he didn't stick around, and he gave it away in the end.
Yes, he definitely gave it away. I thought he was just warming up. He would have had those 2 4s, looked confident. He really wanted to go at it, but you made a point. The key issue is to be selective, and he was not selective. Had he calculated, I have already gotten 8, there would have been no need for that shot. So Antigua Barbuda in trouble here as Smith comes into the new batsman, Kofi James. James drives in the air just short of Walters, who was darting in from cover. And Kofi James will be happy to be there. But one wonders what's the thinking. I know we look at 170, but in the previous game, they did Antigua Barbuda open with Kofi James, with Tyrone Pacer, Williams, and James. But James is now coming at 5. Then they decided to go with Graham. Here is James this time, driving through the covers for 4. Lovely shot, just the swing of the bat. And Kofi James is saying, welcome, I'm up for the task. I'm not going to count myself out or the Antigua team out. He gets off the mark with 4. At the end of over number 7, Antigua Barbuda, 41 for 3.
Certainly was a good shot. He really pounced on that one It wasn't a bad delivery by any stretch of the imagination, but he was really onto it with a flash and hit it away through extra cover region for 4. And that is a man seemed to be confident.
He has to be.
And like I said before, I have no issues with the batsmen going for their shots, being aggressive, taking the attack to the Jamaica bowlers. But you just got to be selective. You got to respect the good delivery and try to put away the bad ones. And even the good ones, you try to work them into the gaps, pick up 1s and 2s in the meantime, as opposed to trying to hit all the ball for boundaries.
Certainly. So if you have just joined us, Antigua Barbuda up against it, 41 for 3. They need 171 for victory as Walters starts his 4th over. Down the leg side, pulled by Peters. The return comes in as they come through for the quick single. Kofi James, long legs, got him across rather comfortably in the end, even though Smith was firing the return towards the stumps. Taylor stands up behind the stumps as Walters gets ready to bowl his second delivery of his 4th over and the 8th of the innings. James just tucks it, works it around, forward of the man, to the right of the man at mid-wicket. Comes into a short forward of square position to field a single. James moves to 5 from 3. Peters, who is on 11 from 10, faces up to Walters, who has taken 2 wickets so far. Here is Peters covering up and playing that one straight back to the bowler. He feels Antigua Barbuda from here on would need over 10 runs per over if they are going to get it. But as Curtly says, a bad over can help a team, or a couple of bad overs, a couple of good overs for the batting team. Here is Peters playing it through the covers and getting a single out towards the man coming off the deep extra cover boundary. So they just need to rotate. They just need to start to settle the nerves, and then perhaps the opportunity to launch the attack. But you have to be patient. I do understand Devon Thomas's anxiety, but at the same time, you got to keep the adrenaline flowing, but yet be selective, as Sir Curtly says. Here is Kofi James playing the ball back up the track, and there is no one. I'm trying to think the thought of bringing Owen Graham to open the bat in. I would have thought, as the Jamaicans did with Walton, that if the Antigua Barbuda team wanted to go at it, they had an option. They had the former opener in Kadeem Phillip, who could have started left and right combination. Here is Kofi James. Oh, steering this one. It's going out towards the 3rd man boundary, but he's not going to get a boundary. They have gotten 2, and they have gotten 2 rather comfortably, but he waited on it and then just really opened the face of the bat, steering the ball to pick up 2 runs, keeping at least the flow going, and he moves to 7 at the end of over number 8. Peters is on 12, Antigua Barbuda 46 for 3. Have an uphill task.
Yes, most certainly, because when you look at the run rate now, it's well over 10, almost 10 and a half. They have to get from here on in. And they've already lost 3 wickets, so it's not really a good sign at this point for the Antigua Barbuda Master Blasters. But this is T20 cricket we're talking about, Seth, and a couple of big overs here could just swing the momentum back to Antigua Barbuda. But it's going to take some good batting, really, because at the moment they're not doing very well.
Well, they name the Master Blasters, so they have to transform someone into the former Master Blasters role to have that Viv Richards strike, that Richie Richardson touch to get them there. This time here is Orlando Peters going back and cutting. Fielder well placed at extra cover on the boundary, comes off the sweeper, sends the return halfway through to the big man at extra cover, and the single takes Peters up to 13. Here is Kofi James getting one that bounces. It pitched and really bounced. Kofi James, a tall man, was opting to cut above his shoulder, missed it completely, but he will remain there to fight. This time he tries to steer this one, and that one was pushed through. It wasn't short enough. It wasn't bouncing. The stroke was not the correct one for the ball, and he has to be careful. James taps his bat. Tall stand, crouches, and then this time he goes back, cuts over the man at backward point into the boundary for 4. His second 4. He's not content to stand. The 50 comes up for Antigua Barbuda, or 52 balls. Kofi James really trying to pick up the momentum here, which is crucial. And currently, perhaps the idea may be for him to pick up the momentum and for Peters to anchor. but someone needs to stay. I think Peters would need to bat through if the Antiguans are to get close to this total or are to get the total.
Yes, I mean, Kofi James is the more of the aggressive of the two, and he needs to keep going.
Here is he this time, stands up straight, plays the ball out into the offside as Allen is really striving to keep things quiet. Only 5 runs so far off his over, Fabian Allen. A good left-arm orthodox spinner comes into Kofi James. James swings this one out of the park. Lovely shot. Just a swing of the bat. The front foot was planted down. That one sailed over the man at mid-wicket, and you can see the spectators there in the party stand. They would welcome that boundary, would welcome that 6 for Antigua Barbuda. That pushes James up to 17 and the score to 57 for 3. At least a relatively good over.
It was a good shot, really. Left arm bowler, Allen, bowling from around the wicket. So naturally the angle will be into the right-hander. And he just swung with it. And it was a very, very good shot. And of course, like I said, the spectators on the western side of the ground really enjoyed that. And if he can continue to play that way without taking too many risks or too many chances, and of course, Orlando Peters playing a supporting role, we could be in for an exciting game.
Could be. So they just need to bat. Need not to be too impatient. They do have batting. Kadeem Phillip. They also still have captain, mentor. Kareem Agor is pretty much maybe underrated in this version. But a good young batsman. Here is Peters pulling this one. It goes out to the fielder coming off the mid-wicket boundary. A single to Peters. He brings James on strike. Good to see Kofi James. Grown up a good youngster, coming through the ranks of youth cricket. Should have gone further, one thought, at the youth level. But he's relishing his opportunity. This time he goes back and almost got himself in a tangle. He was going back to cut, and I thought at the last moment, changed his mind, and then he was cramped. Hit the ball into the ground. Fortunately for him, it did not go back to the stump. This time, he tries to flash again. The left armour come in, and really on that occasion, Harrison pitching smart, close to the off stump. James is trying to cut instead of drive, as you're indicating so curtly. This time he goes back and he was attempting to pull in the end, played the drive. I think somehow he may be in two minds. He's not being decisive. He was cramped for the previous 2 balls on that occasion, though he got a single down to long on. He was not in perfect control. Harrison once again. Peters cuts at that. That will come down to third man for 4. Peters going back and timing, waiting on it. And it came down to third man for 4. It may suggest to some going down to third man meant that he was not in control, but I thought he waited on it, played it late, and that was the key. Peters moves up to 18, joins James on 18, and Antigua Barbuda move into 63 for 3.
Yes, they're progressing quite nicely. Antigua Barbuda, the Master Blasters, and the runs are coming rather quickly, even though the run rate is still over 10.
Yes, they have really picked up the pieces. Here is Peters going back and cutting out towards the field on the sweeper position, the cover boundary, and Peters gets a single. So they're doing the right thing. They're rotating the strike at the end of over number 10. Antigua Barbuda 64 for 3. Peters on 19, James on 18. After comments from Sir Curtly Ambrose, Jack Matthew will pick up the ball by ball.
Yes, at the halfway mark, 64 for 3 is not the best picture that you can see, but with both Peters and James here, they need to build this partnership. It's building nicely. It's 27 at the moment, and for the second half of this innings, someone got to really take the initiative and take the attack to the bowlers, because having to score over 10, close to 11 runs and over, is not going to be easy.
Indeed, they need to keep attacking. Here is Kofi James playing the ball quietly, Orlando Peters correction, quietly into the offside and setting off for the run. So he gets his 20th run. Kofi James on 18 comes into strike. And then Tegan Bobby, they're needing 171 to win, 65 for 3. The asking rate 10.78. They're going at 6.39 at the moment. Here is Fabian Allen, left arm spinner, and the batsman is going back and trying to give himself room to hit it through the offside. Ball goes down towards the short third man position. He can't score. Odwin Jarmer's Walsh comes back next to me. It's a situation here where the Antiguans, they have lost wickets and the scoring rate is climbing, but there is still hope because it is 2020 cricket and it's a fast-moving game. Ball is driven into the offside. Fabian Allen runs across and does the work. He's a very good outfielder as well. Very good cricketer, Fabian Allen. Took a spectacular catch in the Caribbean Premier League, the CPL. Probably the catch of the tournament. Here is he with the ball. Left arm spin, and it's hit hard into the ground. Goes straight to the man at extra cover, and he can't score.
Yes, at this moment, the Antiguans, I think, suffering from a bit of inexperience, not knowing when to go.
Allen is bowling, and it's driven down towards the mid-on position. Fabian Allen having to run back because it was not timed. It was, in fact, mistimed by Kofi Allen. He was trying to clear the boundary, perhaps, and just got a run for it. Score is now 66 for 3. And we're in the 11th over of the innings. 1 ball to come. And the asking rate still high. It's gone beyond 11 now as ball is played into the offside. So too many dot balls in that over. In fact, a no ball, so we'll have a free hit. And I think it's the first free hit of the match. First no ball of the match. So what will Orlando Peters be able to do with this? And he hits this one high over the top, 6 runs. So taking advantage of that free hit, Orlando Peters just moving away the front leg and hitting Fabian Allen over long on for 6. That would do a lot to the scoring rate of the Antiguans. 73 for 3 Antiguan Barbuda Master Blasters. They need to get 171 to win the match. The asking rate has gone below 11, but it's still very high, in excess of 10, and they're going at the moment at 6.64. 73 for 3 after 11.
Still very high. The Antiguans still have a bit of work to do. It seemed like an uphill task at the moment. I think the batters need to be a little bit more playing more with a little softer hands. They're going real hard and not timing the ball.
Paul Harrison is in, and this is hit over the top. And yes, it goes away for 6, but it was misjudged, I thought, by the fielder on the boundary. Looked to have had it. His hands were above his head, and the ball went apparently between his hands and over his head and beyond the rope for 6 runs. So that was a bad miss.
May have lost it in the lights, perhaps.
Yes. So 6 to Kofi James. He's on to 25. So here is Paul Harrison, and this is hit down to the long off position, and he's caught. So after being missed the previous delivery, he has hit it down the throat of the man at the long off position. Kofi James has been dismissed for 25, and Tegan Barbuda losing another wicket. He was caught by Allen off the bowling of Paul Harrison. Paul Harrison playing in his first match of the tournament, and he has departed for 25. 79 for 4 is the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters total. They need 171 to win.
Just when Kofi James looks as if he's going to be the difference between the Antiguans and the Jamaicans, after hitting that 6 over mid-wicket, he went for another big stroke. I don't think that was necessary at all. What did the batters needed to do after getting, the boundaries? They needed to put the ball in the gap, put the Jamaicans under pressure, and that they're not doing. They're just going hard at everything and losing their way.
And they will need to keep wickets in hand, because when you're going to have to go at 10 per over, 9 per over in the closing stages, you're going to be taking risk, and you would be losing wickets in T20 cricket. That's the nature of the game. You're going to lose wickets when you're going to go hard. But they will need to preserve them earlier in the proceedings, but they're losing wickets regularly. So we may see a situation where when they will need to step it up, they're down to the lower order batsmen, and that may well be too demanding of them. So the situation now is that the asking rate is 10.62. They're going at 6.97, and they've lost 4 wickets at 79 for 4 in the 12th over. The new batsman is Justin Athanaze. He can hit it a fair distance as well. He looks to come off the mark, but he doesn't get a run as the ball goes bouncing out towards extra cover. And the score is kept on 79 for 4. Athanaze settles over his bat as Paul Harrison is in to bowl him, and he plays a stabbing defensive shot, gets off the mark. The ball goes square, but slowly, the fielder having to come in to converge onto the ball from that backward point position. And so the single was there for the offing. 80 for 4 now, 11.4. Athanaze on 1, Peters on 26.
Yes, that was quite intelligent of Athanaze, turning the strike over, giving it to Orlando Peters, who is in. And
Peters is driving the ball down to the long on position, and they just amble the run. The return comes on the bounce to wicketkeeper Stephen Taylor. 81 now for 4. The asking rate climbs now beyond 11, and the current rate 6.85. So the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters will keep an eye on that asking rate. Here is the ball driven hard, and a tumbling save by the bowler, Paul Harrison, going quickly away to his left, and it was hit firmly along the ground, but he made a scrambling save. So the Jamaicans realizing now they're sensing an opportunity of making it to the final on Saturday night, and they're looking to hold on with all their might here tonight against the Antiguans. 81 for 4 after 12, 27 to Orlando Peters. Justin Athanaze on 1. The asking rate now 11.29 per over. Overall target 171.
The Jamaicans have been remarkable in the field. They're the Chadwick Walton marshalling the troops. He's setting the field precisely, and the Antiguans are seemingly unable to pace it at will. What I want to talk about, Jack, we talk about 11 runs per over, and Kofi James would have gotten a 6 off the first delivery. He would have been advised at that, if you get 3 twos after that, it takes you somewhere close to 11 runs per over. So at that point, he needed not to go for that big stroke.
Yes. Yes, it's discipline. It's part of the discipline of batting, because you're not going to be able to hit 6s as if you're a madman and 4s. So you have to be very, very vigilant and be mindful of the game plan, because the game plan is that you have to preserve your wickets. You have to be calculated in your approach. Ball is turned away to the onside. They go for a quick single. The return doesn't come in. Fielder racing in from the mid-wicket position. Threatened just momentarily to on-arm the return towards the stumps of the keeper's end, but he held on to the ball. A single taken quickly by Orlando Peters and Justin Athanaze. Peters is on to 28. And Athanaze on 1 comes into strike, takes his guard from umpire Alvin James Knight. Smith is the man in operation. Odean Smith. He bowls quite sharp. And he's now in the course of his 3rd over. And he's on his way. 1 for 19, 2.1. And Athanaze pulls away. Some conversation perhaps was taking place. Yes, it looks as if the man, a 3rd man, was involved in a conversation. And so almost at the point of delivery, there was Justin Athanaze pulling away. So the signal of dead ball came from umpire Alvin James Knight. Last wicket fell when the score was on 79, that of Kofi James. He was caught by Allen at long off of the bowling of Paul Harrison for 25. Harrison, the left-arm spinner. Odean Smith, the fast bowler, is in, and he plays it on. Yes, he's bowled. Justin Athanaze almost nonchalantly just putting the bat at the ball, and he hit the inside edge and onto the stumps. It was far from impressive in terms of his approach a while ago, as if he wasn't prepared for the delivery, and he played really a naughty-looking stroke. So he's been bowled by Smith for 1, and then Antigua and Barbuda sliding further. They're 82 for 5, and really in a desperate situation at the moment.
Yes, and the Antiguans are in a very desperate situation at the moment. They're reeling. The captain, it looks like, coming out. He will have to produce something special if Antigua were to get this 170 runs. At the moment, the Jamaicans have all the answers. They're bowling in the right areas. The feeling is superb. Notwithstanding the fact that the Antiguans would have gotten a couple of boundaries, they are still well poised to win this game tonight.
Kerry Mentor coming in at number 7 in the batting order. Do you find that strange based on what we have seen from him so far?
Well, that would have suggested to me that perhaps he would have sustained an injury when colliding with the stumps or the batter, because that is a very strange move. Kerry Mentor is one of those kind of player that can change the game at will, and he's coming in at 7. That's a real surprise.
Yes, in the match against Guyana, he made 43 of 27 deliveries, had 4 sixes and 3 fours. Here is he coming off the mark right away, just guiding the ball away down to the third man position and sprinting off for the run. He's one. Orlando Peters on 28 comes into strike. And Peters will have to bat right through if they're going to have a chance here. The asking rate approaching 12 now, 11.73. They're going at 6.64. So at no point the asking rate has, the current run rate has been beyond 7 and climbing. This is cut away beautifully by Orlando Peters. Oh, that was majestically played. No power whatsoever, all timing. A short ball outside the line of the off stump, and he played it beautifully. He timed it well, and the ball rushed away down to the cover point boundary for 4 runs. That
was a shot of this day, and it really brought out the class of a youngster. Who we felt, well, we felt that, you know, with his ability and he should have been excelling further.
32 from 22 deliveries. Orlando Peters, he gets on top of this one and guides it nicely down to third man. A very good technique being applied here by the 29-year-old, getting on top of the bounce and guiding the ball away for a single. He's now on to 33 from 23 deliveries. Antigua and Barbuda are 88 for 5. This is over number 13 in progress. So just 1 ball to come. Target 171. Asking rate 11.58. And Kerry Mentor is getting another run as he steers the ball down to the backward point here. The third man comes in. And they have to settle for the single. 13 overs completed. Antigua and Barbuda chasing 171 to win. 89 for 5 from 13. 33 to Orlando Peters. Mentor on 2.
In the context of T20 cricket, the 170 is not beyond getting. These two will certainly have to be the ones who craft their way around and make sure that they mix aggression with picking up the 1s and 2s, putting the balls in the gap, putting the Jamaicans under pressure, forcing them to do something different. And, you know, at the end, before you know it, Antigua could be somewhere close or even over the line.
And they need a big over. When 4 consecutive sixes were hit by Trevon Griffith of the bowling of Kadeem Phillip, the left-arm spinner, that transformed the run rate considerably. And so they need that sort of a response now before it gets down to the 17th over and that sort of thing. They need a very big over to carry that asking rate down and to push the current run rate somewhere in the vicinity of 9 or even 10. So they need a dramatic change, if you will. Here is Kerry Mentor just looking for a single, but the ball goes just a few yards away from the bat on the offside for the wicketkeeper Stephen Taylor, who is crouching there behind the stumps as Jamie Merchant. Another spinner is in. This ball is hit away down to the deep extra cover position, the mid-off having to run around, but they got only 1 for it. So Mentor has 3 now, and Orlando Peters on 33 comes into strike. We're into the 14th over of the innings, and the scoring rate is just climbing all the time. It's now in excess of 12.15. So they need to do something desperately, Antigua and Barbuda, if they're really going to have a chance. And this is driven away square. The man on the boundary comes around. They just explore the possibility of a second, but it's not on. The fielder quickly in and release the ball right away into the gloves of wicketkeeper Stephen Taylor. 91 for 5 halfway through the 14th over of the innings. Peters on 34. Here is Mentor slashing and missing outside the line of the off stump. taken by the wicketkeeper Taylor. So I'm not sure why he came in at number 7. He needed to bat earlier based on his form and based on his ability. Here is Mentor slamming this ball over the top. Will he get it beyond the boundary? No, he does not. And the sweep at cover coming around. Ball was in the air for a long time, but the long off and the sweep at cover had a lot of ground to cover to get near it. Eventually, the sweeper got there from cover, and they dashed back for the second. He was looking for 6, but didn't get the timing right.
Yes, in order for Antigua to make a good showing of this, they need to go after to get some big overs.
Merchant is in, and this is hit over the top mightily by Kerry Mentor, and that's 6 runs. Now, that's the power of Kerry Mentor. That's what they needed early on. I think that he came in just maybe 2 notches below what was required because you needed to score at a very brisk rate. He can do that. He has been one of the informed batsmen, and to come in at number 7, really, I thought was an error on the part of his captaincy.
That was a very strange move. It led us to think that he was slightly incapacitated, but with that stroke, he showed that he's still very much in the game and he has the ability to change it.
Yes, and they will need to change it rapidly. The scoring rate has gone beyond 7, so that's a bit of an encouragement for the Antigua and Barbuda Master Blasters. It's still a demanding asking rate of 12 per over, but they've just gone beyond 7. 15th over about to begin. The score is 99 for 5. 99 for 5, and these two will have to bat real deep, and they will have to keep going if we're going to have a match of it. So here is Paul Harrison. Now switch to this end. This ball is hit over the top. Will it go beyond the boundary? Is it caught? Yes, it is. So Orlando Peters perishes, trying to hit a 6 in the vicinity of wide long on. The long on fielder came around. Didn't quite get hold of it. The ball was in the air for a long time. And the fielder, Fabian Allen, he's a good fielder. He came around and he judged it well. So Harrison picks up a wicket, having Orlando Peters caught by Allen for 34. Tegan Barbuda in the 15th over, a 99 for 6, chasing 171.
That was a very big catch from the fielder. He ran quite a good 10, 20 yards around. He looked to have had it under control. He grasped it with 2 hands, and Orlando perishes.
Yes, and the man Antigua Barbuda needed to be there at the very end, because he has been one of the informed batters in the Antiguan side as well. But with his demise at this stage is going to be very, very difficult based on the players to come in the batting order for them to pull it off tonight. So Jamaica will be feeling increasingly confident with each passing over that they'll be in Saturday night's final against Guyana. So Kadeem Phillip has come out to join Kerry Mentor, and he will perhaps try to do what was inflicted on him. 4 consecutive 6s hit by Trevon Griffith. Will he be able to do that? He's not facing right away. It's at the non-striker's end. It's Kerry Mentor who goes back and guides the ball away down to the short third man position. He can't score. The ball traveling quickly, and there's a fielder inside the 30-yard circle. So dot ball, a precious dot ball, as Paul Harrison just prepares to go in, bowling left arm spin around the wicket to the right-handed Mentor. Mentor is back and doesn't make contact. The ball taken by Stephen Taylor standing up. So another dot ball as the scoring rate now climbs beyond 13. So it's becoming beyond redemption now. This ball is driven into the onside, down to the long on position, but only 1 run. Fielder runs around to his right. And the 100 coming up of 89 deliveries, 100 of 89 deliveries. But in the context of the match, that is pedestrian.
Yes, certainly. They need a lot more than what they're doing in order to take them over the line. They need to accelerate as of now, take all the chances necessary to get them over the line. They need a couple of big overs. Perhaps Kadeem Phillip need to at least win some reprieve by hitting a couple of sixes as well.
Yes, really be able to do that. He has the ability. He faces Paul Harrison, and he goes back and misses his first ball, taken by the wicket-keeper. So Tyrone Williams went for 3, Graham 4, Peters, Orlando, 34, Thomas made 17, Kofi James got 25, and Justin Athanaze 1, the batsman dismissed so far. Here is Kadeem Phillip, the left-hander, driving in the vicinity of wide long on. But again, he's not the fastest of movers, and so there was no chance for them to scurry back for the second. 15 overs gone, 5 to come, and the asking rate beyond 40 now. So it is beyond redemption maybe, but we're talking about cricket, and who knows. Seth Burton will describe the closing stages of this match after further words from Odwin Jarmers Walsh.
The Jamaicans will feel pleased that, you know, the boundaries seemingly would have dried up. Antiguans are struggling terribly. They go in hard at every delivery. I don't think there is much thought put into how they're going to get these 14 runs per over. I think they're just hoping for the best, just throwing the kitchen sink at everything at this moment.
Well, they still have to back themselves, because if they don't believe, then they can't achieve. And Kadeem Phillip, who, as you mentioned, gave up 24 in one, he has the ability to get 24 in one. He had been a top order batsman for Antigua and also for Leewards. Actually played a couple of 20-20 games a few years ago. Here is he facing up, and he pulls this one. Didn't time it well, but it goes to the fielder coming around from backward of square, almost colliding with the one coming around from forward of square. But good clean work on the part of Walters. So only a single to Phillip. Phillip moves to 2, and the Antigua Barbuda score up to 102 for 6. Still required 69 runs. 69 runs. And you would understand 69 runs needed from, 29 deliveries. So it's really almost, almost 3 runs per ball. Not quite there, but over 2 per ball. It will take something special. Kerry Mentor, the captain, also has it. I think it's a mistake for him to have come in at number 7. We'll get back to that as Merchant comes into him wide outside the off stump. He's trying to cut. He's been trying this cut shot for a while and has not been successful at it. I don't know. Mentor perhaps under a bit of pressure as he faces. This time he hits well. The man is coming around. Well, I thought it would have beaten the man, and here is an opportunity for a run out. What a comedy of error on the part of both Mentor and Kadeem Phillip. I can't explain it. Kadeem was standing, Mentor was up there at the end. Then they were scrambling. The return was not a direct one. The wicket-keeper Taylor tried to relate onto the stumps, and they were able to get just a single out of what really should have been 2 runs.
Should have been 2 runs easily. After the batsman in Mentor struck that, I think he felt that was going down the fielder's
Yes,
throat.
I thought it
and
was.
He had given up at that point.
But here is Kadeem Phillip. Faces up and Phillip pulls. And they're ambling a single. That one goes out to mid-wicket. There's a fielder on the mid-wicket boundary, one on the lawn boundary. And they're ambling a single.
And the fielder had to come all the way, almost into the 30-yard circle to retrieve that one. If they are to give themselves a chance, they have to put these fielders under pressure.
Precisely. And both batsmen at this point, nobody can say, let me give you the single. Both batsmen would need to put their hands up, because this is certainly desperation time for Antigua Barbuda. Captain Mentor faces. He pulls this one out to mid-wicket. He will be out caught. Oh, it's dropped. Allen coming in. Thought he had it covered, but in the end, he floored it, and Mentor would fight another battle. He moves to 14 and the score up to 105 for 6.
I think that was a very good effort on the part of Allen. He ran in quickly, and he a spearing dive, and he did very well to even have gotten both hands to it.
So 66 needed, and here is Kadeem Phillip. Oh, he's beaten, but gets the edge. The ball is going towards the boundary. Oh, good bit of chase in the end, but no. On that occasion, Smith was unable to relate back to the fielder who was coming with him. The ball crosses the ropes. It goes into the boundary for 4. Phillip gets a 4 moves on to 70. Antigua Barbuda total moves up to 109 for 6. And at the end of over number 16, Mentor is on 14, Philip on 7. They still need 62 runs, Jama Walsh, from 24 legitimate deliveries.
I'm still maintaining if the Antiguans would have put thought into the batting, they knocked the ball into the gaps. Just now when the ball went down to mid-wicket after a mistimed stroke, they ambled at it. If they would have put the fielders under pressure, that would have been too easily. 4 twos.
Precisely.
8, and then perhaps they would have gotten that loose delivery for 6, take them right up to that same scoring rate.
So if you have just joined us, Jamaica, they are in charge here. Here is Harrison 2, Mentor, he will perish. Will he? 6. Mentor gets it over the boundary, a flat batted shot. The captain is responding. He was in a position to pull in the end. He carted it straight over the bowler's head. 2 fielders were converging. The ball had the elevation, and the elevation took it over the boundary quite easily. Mentor moves to 20 from 14. Antigua 115 for 6. Harrison a bit shaken, does not deliver. So they need another 56 runs. Captain Mentor, can he lead by example here? This time he pulls another flat-batted shot, but this one is on the ground and only a single. He was looking back at Kadeem, hoping he could have gotten at the top. So Mentor looked as though he wants to pick up the momentum. But I would think a little late. A man of Mentor's caliber should not be coming in at number 7 unless he was injured. And there is no indication from how he has approached his innings that he would have been injured. And I think part of the thought process in terms of the Antigua Barbuda team is another factor. Here is Kadeem Phillip going back and playing this one out towards cover, but there is a fielder. Walters is on the boundary, only a single. So Kadeem moves to 4. Mentor on 21 will face up to Harrison. I say the thought process. I couldn't understand the rationale of bringing Graham to open the batting. You had the Kofi James option. He showed good promise when he came in. Here is Mentor going back and cracking this one, but there is a fielder out on the cover boundary. So they are well stationed here for the Jamaicans. Score 118 for 6. 53 runs needed and just, 20 deliveries? Samantha is indicating to me, yes. So they would need a few wides. The Jamaicans have been very disciplined in their bowling. Extremely. So I'm not sure where they're going to get them from. Kadeem Phillip must believe in himself. Kerry Mentor does. Here is Harrison to Phillip, and Phillip pulls at that one. French cut from outside the off stump. He was trying to cart it around the mid-wicket region, the ball taking the inside edge and going down the leg side to the man at fine leg, short fine leg. Final ball in over number 17. Harrison would like to be tight. Comes in. Phillip charges him and hoists this one over long on. 6 runs. Good shot. The first movement of aggression from Kadeem Phillip, and it pays off. Charging the left armour and getting his first 6. He moves to 10. The Antigua Barbuda score moving up to 124 for 6. Mentor is on 22. They need 47 runs from 18 deliveries. It is an uphill task, but at least they're showing signs that they really want to get there.
From here, the batters is going to need to be very special, very innovative, and they're going to need to outthink the bowlers, creating the platform where they need to get boundaries and turning ones into twos is very important. But from here on, it is going to be an uphill task.
It is. Salmon has 2 overs, and he's going to be bowling now. And Smith has 1. And Smith is really the top bowler for the Jamaican team. Has good pace, good control. Is not easily hit about. Mentor is there for him. Antigua Barbuda in their pursuit of 171 would have lost Tyrone Pacer Williams for 3, Owen Graham for 4, Orlando Peters for 34, Devon Thomas for 17. Here is Salmon, comes in, 2 Mentor drives out along on. They get 1, they settle for 1. They're not pressing at all. gets the single. He moves to 23 and the score up to 125 for 6, still behind by 46. They also lost Kofi James for 25, but that was 25 good runs. In fact, it was the James-Peters combination of 42 runs was the only partnership of note that really got the Antiguans at least a measure of stability after disastrous start. And we also had Atenes, who came in, and he was perhaps not as confident as we know him to be. He also went for 1, so they moved from 85 for 2 for 5, and then we saw, well, Kadeem Phillip coming in. This time he pulls at that, not timing the ball, Kadeem Phillip, apart from that 6 that he struck. He's looking for power, not really looking to time the ball, and I think there is where he has been missing out.
Yes,
so
yes, Seth. The field is widespread, and if these guys really play with sometimes a little softer hands, they can turn the 1s into 2s, putting the fielders under pressure. Most times they run, the fielders overrun these days. They have to give themselves a chance by putting the fielders under pressure.
Salmon comes into Mentor. Mentor flashes at that, does not get it well, hits it into the ground. So it's tougher and tougher for the Antiguans. They need at least 3 runs per ball. And that is really a tough task. The Jamaicans, I think, maybe having a firm grip on a place in the final. Here is Mentor facing up to Salmon. He does not deliver. And dead ball signaled by the umpire. So let's see what happens. Peters would have been dissatisfied of his 34 even though he played well. James would have been dissatisfied with his 25 even though he played well. Devon Thomas with his 17 would have also been dissatisfied, was a bit anxious to get along with things. But the disappointment would have been Williams and Graham 3 and 4 and Atenes 1. Here is Mentor facing up to Salmon, drives it back to the bowler. Good bit of bowling by Salmon. 2 balls remaining in this over. 45 runs needed from 14 deliveries. It's getting tougher and tougher for the Antiguans. And you can sense the quietness amongst the spectators here. Salmon to Mentor. Mentor drives. This may beat the fielder. No good bit of speeding. At least he was able to stop it. And they have only now completed 2 runs. I thought they could have put a bit more pressure on the fielders. A bit not as quick between the wicket as you would have had with the Peters-Thomas combination. Nevertheless, Mentor gets 2 to move to 25. And the score up to 128 for 6. The magic number is 171, and they're a long way off. They need 43 runs from 2 overs after this. And this is the final ball of over number 18. So we would give you the figures in terms of the Jamaica bowling. But they would have been indebted to Salmon, who has so far only conceded 8 runs. And he is on the verge of completing his 3rd over. Smith has also been excellent. Here is Salmon. Comes into Mentor. Mentor swings this one. This will cover the boundary. No. 1 bounce into the mid-wicket boundary for 4. Mentor is still trying hard. He moves to 29. The Antigua Barbuda score moving into the 130s to 132 for 6. At the end of over number 18, they would require Aldwin Walsh 39 runs from 2 overs. It's not impossible, but it's improbable.
It's not impossible. We probably need a Carlos Brathwaite innings. At this point, I think that these 2 batters, they need to put a little bit more urgency, even when they're not getting the boundaries. They need to put the fielders on the pressure. When it goes all the way down to the boundary, especially when it is not timed properly, they are just ambling a single, quite contented, and you cannot win games when at that manner.
Well, this over will decide the game, and you know, Smith has been pretty much the bedrock of the Jamaica team. So Smith, so far, 2 for 26 from his 3 overs. Before that, Pete Salmon, none for 12 from 3. Walters, 2 for 22 from 4. Fabian Allen, none for 20 from 2. Paul Harrison, 2 for 32 from 4. And Jamie Merchant, none for 14 from 2. That comprised the Jamaica bowling. But Smith, he needs to finish, and he needs to finish well. Odin Smith, sharpest of the bowler for the Jamaicans. He comes in around the wicket to Kadeem Phillip. Phillip tries to give himself room, backs away, but only gets it as far as the fielder at cover. Cover that looks like Walters, a single. And the Antiguans really, I think, gave it perhaps all they could have, but I don't think the game was well thought out. No. Ability is there, but it was not clinically thought out from the start. When you saw they made that change at the top of the order, and then Captain Mento coming down at 7 at this stage, I thought definitely they placed themselves under some pressure. Here is Captain Mento as he faces up to Smith. He pulls out that, he's bowled him. Hope has gone, all even the thought. The ball rocketed into the off stump, plucked it out, and had so much pace that it even ran across the ropes past the keeper. Smith just delivering the death blow for Antigua and Barbuda, putting Jamaica in a position where I don't see how they could lose this game. Antigua Barbuda still 38 runs adrift, and with only 10 balls remaining, the Jamaicans are perhaps sensing that opportunity in the final.
Smith, with just about 10 paces, is really bowling quickly. He's very deceptive as he ambles up. You cannot underestimate him. He has bowled some real quick deliveries, and that one that bowled the captain in Mentor, that one was really quick, as that was through him before he had a swing. I must give the Jamaicans some credit. All night they have been very, very fleet-footed in the field. They never got complacent, even when the Antiguans seemed to have a bit of moment. They kept their cool, they stuck to the task, and they were just moving around, and they are just waiting for the mistakes of the Antiguan batters.
Yes, so Nino Henry has come to the crease, and we didn't see any of Henry in terms of the bowling for the Antigua Barbuda team. That's another factor. It's amazing to me.
Certainly, I could not understand that either.
It's amazing. Graham got all 4, and Nino Henry never bowled. This time he bats and he charges Smith. Tough thing to do to a fast bowler. The return comes in, but Nino Henry gets off the mark. At least doing something here for his team. Score moves to 134 for 7. Still 37 runs needed from 9 deliveries. 9 threes at 27, 9 fours at 36. So they would need they would need all 4s, or they say 6 sixes at 36. That's what Samantha says.
Yes.
So perhaps Kadeem can make up for that.
Some
in the last
optimism.
over. Here is Smith too. Oh, driven back past the bowler, ferocious shot. He charged him and he whacked that past Smith. Smith is smiling, and that ball went like a bullet over his head and into the boundary for 4. So Kadeem Phillip is not giving up. He moves to 15. The Antigua Barbuda score moving up to 138 for 7. Samantha says that's one of the possible 9. That could go for 9 fours at 36. So they need 33 from 8 deliveries. Smith, 3 for 32. He has been the key to the Jamaica bowling. He comes in now to Kadeem Phillip. Phillip arcs the bat, goes across, swings, gets it into the thigh pad. Only a single, which would be a leg by. I anticipate, as would be signaled by umpire James Knight. No, he does not. So single to Kadeem Phillip. He moves to 16. The Antigua Barbuda score to 139 for 7. Remember, Jamaica made 170 for 6 of their 20 overs, setting Antigua Barbuda 171. And the Antigua Barbuda team struggled from the beginning when they lost Tyrone Pacer Williams for 3 to be 1 down for 4. Here is Smith to Nino Henry. Henry drives out towards mid-wicket. Walters comes off the boundary, so only a single. And the return comes in. Kadeem Phillip moves away from the ball. And Jamaica, they know that at this stage, with Antigua Barbuda moving to 140 for 7, Audwin Walsh, Kadeem Phillip may try as he works. Antigua will need 31 runs from the final over, and that really, I think, is beyond them.
Well, they say cricket is a game of glorious uncertainties, but you know, from the fans and our perspective, it's just a matter of consolation here at this moment. I think the advice should be at the moment, just go after everything.
Well, you know, I would have played softball cricket. It's still cricket, and I would have seen some strange things in last overs transforming games. And Kadeem Phillip believes that. He has played all formats, soft, tape, and hardball, and he has sent for a bigger willow. So we saw Benter going out and bringing out a bat. So Kadeem is thinking positively, and if he can get 6 4s and then perhaps Nino Henry, sorry, 4 6s, and if Nino Henry can get 1 and a single, perhaps that's the only calculation I can see.
Well, I'm not sure because Nino Henry is the one that's facing now.
So will he get a 6? Let's see what Nino Henry does as Salmon comes in. He has bowled well. 3 overs for 12 runs, 4 runs per over. He comes in to Nino Henry into the batsman's pad. He's bowled. He's bowled. Or is he stumped? Well, they're looking at the umpire. He's given. So Nino Henry perhaps was going across. I thought he was bowled, but good bit of glove work from Taylor. Swift glove work. The stumps are the brown stumps with some white on it, and the ball is white. So oftentimes it becomes a challenge to pick up exactly what happens once it hits the top of the stump. But the umpire gives Nino Henry the finger, saying to him, "You're out, young man," and hope goes with him as young Kareem Agor joins his fellow Libertian in Kadeem Phillip.
And they are meeting up again in just a different capacity. At this point, it's just a matter of consolation. This game is as good as over set.
Yes, it's as good as over. 5 deliveries remaining, 31 runs needed, 6 5s of 30. The best they can do is to tie the game. Let's see what Kareem Agor has. He's beaten by that one. The ball striking wicketkeeper Steve Taylor on his toes, it looks like, and he's really having a dance. And it simply means that the Jamaicans are home bar the shouting. 4 balls remaining, 31 runs needed. Kareem Agor just coming to play for some personal pride here. Salmon comes into him. He drives back to the bowler. The edge of the bat has been broken. You see a piece of the bat going in the offside. So, just to run down the scorecard, Antigua Barbuda started their reply to the 171. Tyrone Williams, Bowle Walters for 3. Owen Graham, Bowle Walters for 4. Walters taking the first 2 wickets. Then Orlando Peters, the man who would have played with some respectability, caught Alan Bowle Harrison for 34. Devon Thomas caught McCarthy off the bowling of Smith for 17. Kofi James caught Allen off the bowling of Harrison for 25. Atenes bowled Smith for 1. And Mentor bowled Smith for 29. Henry stumped Taylor off the bowling of Salmon for 2. And now it's Kadeem and Karima. Here is Gore. That's Kareem Agor. Gets off the mark, plays the ball into the short mid-wicket region. Salmon goes across fields. And the single to Kareem Agor takes the Antigua Barbuda score up to 141. Still 30 runs away. So Antigua Barbuda would be suffering a heavy defeat here, and they would look back at the tournament. They would have some reflections on what happened at the start, what happened during games, decisions that may have been made, and they would say to themselves, it's a learning experience, it's an opportunity, because both Guyana and Jamaica, these are regional powerhouses, and
yes,
the Antigua Barbuda team, we play in sub-regional cricket. That's no excuse, because the truth is, Antigua Barbuda, we are the defending champions.
We are the defending champions.
So you're in your yard, you're the defending champions, you should do better. Here is, Kadeem Phillip. That ball almost went through him. It was a Yorker delivery. No spin was on that one. It was a quick one, and Phillip was able to dig it out. So the final rights, the final ball remaining, and 5 Jamaican fielders are still out on the boundary. even though they know it's all over in their favor. They're playing it professionally. Here is Salmon. He does not deliver, delays the agony. Kadeem Phillip looked as though he wished that he could have done more. Spectators are still here. That's good. The spirit of the game. Salmon to Phillip. Phillip comes forward. That's it. Antigua Barbuda, they have suffered a defeat by 29 runs here at the hands of Jamaica. So Jamaica beating Antigua Barbuda here by 29 runs, booking a place in Saturday night's final when they will play against Guyana. A well-deserved victory, Ordwin Walsh.
A well-deserved victory. From the get-go, when the Jamaicans batted, they dictated, and it always looked ominous for the Antiguans, and they displayed the authority in the field. They kept the Antiguans at bay for most part, and in the end, the best team would have won tonight's encounter. Yes,
definitely. The best team would have won. Antigua Barbuda may have beaten Jamaica in the first game. That did not matter. This game is the game that mattered. Antigua Barbuda coming out losers by 29 runs. Jamaica coming out winners of this encounter. Congratulations to the Jamaicans. And as we just wrap it up here, we just would like to go through the scorecard once again. So Jamaica, who would have done well in their batting to post 170 rather for 6, defended their total well. Antigua Barbuda in their reply lost Tyrone Pacer-Williams, who opened the batting with Owen Graham. Williams was bowled by Walters for 3. Owen Graham bowled by Walters for 4. Orlando Peters caught Allen off the bowling of Harrison for 34. Devon Thomas caught McCarthy off the bowling of Smith for 17. Kofi James caught Allen off the bowling of Harrison for 25. Justin Atenez bowled Smith for 1. Kerry Mentor, the captain, coming in at number 7, bowled Smith for 29. Nino Henry, he was Tom Taylor off the bowling of Salmon for 21. At the close, Kadeem Phillip was not out 16. Kareem Agor not out 1. Samuel Peters, he was not required to bat. Antigua Barbuda, 141 for 8. For the 8 extras, 10 extras, 9 extras rather in the innings, including 4 byes, 2 leg byes, 2 wides, and 1 no ball. Antigua Barbuda, 141 for 8, losing by 29 runs. The Jamaican bowling, O'Shane Walters, 4 overs, 2 for 22. 4 overs, 2 for 22. Odin Smith, 4 overs, 3 for 34. Fabian Allen, 2 overs, none for 20. Paul Harrison, 4 overs, 2 for 32. And Jamie Merchant, 2 overs, none for 14. Aldwin Walsh, your final comments on the proceedings.
Yes, the fans, the Antiguan fans, would have gone home disappointed after Antigua would have been winners of last year's competition. Nevertheless, having a diverse community with Jamaicans here, I still think that cricket won on a good night. It was a reasonably good game. It's just that the Jamaicans were superior tonight and Antiguans had no answers.
So with that, Antigua Barbuda going down here tonight in this game by 29 runs. Jamaica will face Guyana in the final on Saturday night at 7 here at the Sir Viv Richards cricket grounds. We look forward to see you all and we wish you all a safe evening. Goodbye on behalf of all our personnel here, Jack Matthew, the producer, Sir Curly Ambrose, Aldwin Jama Walsh, Eustace Samuel, and the rest of the technical crew. I'm Seth Burton saying good night from the Sir Viv Richards cricket grounds.